when he says like, "Oh yeah, Ukraine belongs to Russia naturally as a property of it being adjacent to Russia," I think that's completely nonsensical.
Yeah, well, not naturally in the way that that's the way it's going to be forever, because like all countries die eventually. So I mean, but in the current like political climate, yeah, that's what they would believe. No, that's great. I think maybe the way you talked about it made me kind of misunderstand it, possibly. But obviously, Mersheimer isn't the most important thing. It's just that I felt like you kind of misunderstood the concept of political realism.
Um,
Um,
well, I mean, I think they misunderstand it, if anything, or I think they deliberately misframe what they believe in a way to make it seem as though they're adhering to some kind of like neutral system-driven assessment of how we're supposed to understand geopolitics, when in reality they're engaging in like extremely preferential bias towards Russia.
I don't think Mersheimer is preferential towards Russia. I just think that's what he like. He believes that U.S. involving itself in Ukraine is kind of like misguided from a U.S. strategic perspective.
Well,
That the U.S. is better used using their resources within their own sphere of influence, and that will bring like more peace, I guess.
well,
But
yeah, but it's for 5% of our military budget. We're supporting an ally against a fascist invasion. Um,
well, your military budget is insane. But yeah, I agree with supporting Ukraine. I don't disagree morally on that. But that's like realism is rather about is rather about uh, peace through spheres of influence. If you get me.
yeah, I completely disagree. Spheres of influence don't matter anymore. We live in a global connected world. Like, as far as I'm concerned, my sphere of influence as an American is the world. It doesn't even end at the borders of space. The universe is ours. And if people want to work with us and get along with us, then it's ours collectively together. But I don't buy this like I have a set of morals and political values that get contained to Western countries, but then Russia gets to fuck over the ones near them. We're all in this together. Like we can all connect to each other. If we had an interplanetary, species or whatever, and it was like, okay, we literally can't do anything about what's going on Mars, then okay, like maybe you could make an argument there. But we have the ability to reinforce Ukraine within, like 24 hours. The economy is global at this point. I feel like we're all in this together.
Well, the economy is getting less globalized by the day at the current state, but yeah, I don't disagree that's the way it should be. But for example, well, nobody's threatened the U.S. spheres of influence lately, but the last time, for example, when Russia was or the Soviet Union was having fun in Cuba, the US almost blew up the world, right? I mean, yes, it shouldn't be relevant in a globalized world where the fuck your country's placed, right? You didn't exactly choose it. But the fact still remains as that as far as leaders and as far as governments and bureaucracies believe that they have a sphere of influence, that will be relevant. I'm sorry if my English is fucked up, man. I'm a bit
Your
nervous and it's my second language.
your English isn't fucked up, but you're perfectly understandable. Um,
Okay,
and
great.
no, I mean, I oh, I'm not defending, like any kind of military engagement around the world or exacerbating military conflicts the way that we did with, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I just don't think that's applicable in a context where Russia's the one that started this war.
Oh, that's true. I mean, Russia started this war and they want to do so. But I just, what I'm trying to say is as long as countries think that they have a sphere of influence, I don't say that you just surrender Ukraine, but it is something that has to be taken into consideration when making foreign policy decisions, right?
Ch-
For
ch-
example, if the United States, I don't know, somehow disarm North Korea's nukes and invade North Korea, it would probably be a good thing to get rid of the worst country in the history of the planet, right? But you will still have to expect a harsh reaction from China because they consider their sphere of influence, even though they don't even like the North Korean regime themselves.
Yeah, but in this case, all we're doing is supplying military equipment to an allied country against an invasion, which that's not like an escalation or anything. That's a pretty normal extension of our policy. Just, kind of what we always have done. It's a pretty normal thing to do, to give arms to allied countries who are being invaded. That's why we're not getting directly involved, right? Like, NATO soldiers are not in Ukraine right now, because that could constitute an actual escalation.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, yes, like NATO soldiers going in would be at like World War III starts now. Obviously, that hasn't happened, but um, obviously you are on a side, or we, I guess, because I'm in NATO too. We are on a side of the conflict, and we are participating in the conflict. For example, if Russia were to like pile Iraq of, for full of weapons when the Americans invaded, Russia would be sanctioned to oblivion, right? Like the reaction would be harsh. It wouldn't just be, "Oh, we're just helping a friend." No, I mean obviously the reaction would be brutal against Russia at that time.
Yeah, well, but that's what happens, right? Like, we've participated in military actions before that have been indirectly, like, the opposition has been indirectly supplied by Russia. I don't think you
Yeah,
could.
like Vietnam.
Yeah, well, I mean, even more recently, right? Like with Syria. Um, but I don't think you could then go like that means it's direct warfare. Countries supply allied countries with arms all the time. It's a pretty normal, like, if that's off the table, if that constitutes escalation, then it basically means that like there is no such thing as international engagement in conflict.
Well, I think I agree with that. But on thing when you mentioned Syria, Syria is almost a perfect analogy, right? Because that was the United States invading a Russian ally while the Russians were supporting them.
Well, we supported.
Um,
I mean, invasion's kind of tricky, right? Like, portions of Syria are basically not even Syria anymore. Like, portions of eastern Syria are like Rojava territory, and we sent troops to support them. Um, but also, like, Russia initially just provided arms, but then they directly invaded themselves. So it's like there's this blurry line here. But I really don't think that providing arms to Ukraine constitutes the kind of escalation that a lot of people claim it does. I think it's a pretty bog standard approach.
well, yeah, but a point where about what you just said, for example, yes, the United States sent troops into Rojava, which was a independent. Almost all of my friends are Kurds, and I'm an anarchist, so Rojava is deeply in my heart. But say, for example, yes, the United States sent troops and weapons into Rojava, which was an autonomous region of Syria or a de facto separate state. You could say the same about Eastern Ukraine, but you would still say that Russia invaded Ukraine, even though there were an active civil war. And there were I mean, there were actual Ukrainian citizens who revolted there. How many were Russian mercenaries? I have no idea, and we probably won't for a while. But you could make the same argument on Russia's side until 2022, of course.
Well, yeah, in that case, I would argue based mostly on moral grounds. But Ukraine has always had the right to defend
Oh,
itself, and I feel
on the
we've
moral
always had
grounds,
the.
I agree with you, by the way.
Well, then why shouldn't we support Ukraine? I guess is my question.
I have never said that you shouldn't support Ukraine. I guess if you go into the deeper like contents of the emails, I didn't argue that we shouldn't support Ukraine. One, we should enter negotiations with Russia about Ukraine, or we should help Ukraine in the negotiations. Obviously, we can't negotiate on their behalf, but we shouldn't actively try to block negotiations, or the U.S. and Britain shouldn't actively try to block negotiations.
Well, what do you mean we should negotiate, and in what way are we blocking negotiations?
For example, the famous Boris Johnson intervention, and there has been numerous reportings on the United States actively trying to prevent Ukraine from negotiating since
Well,
the start of the conflict.
in like what way?
So, in diplomatic ways, first of all, or primarily in diplomatic ways, but that also goes over to the military, right? As if the support from NATO into Ukraine stops, Ukraine is done within a week or so. They don't have the ammunition, and they don't have the capacity to produce their own ammunition as every factories getting bombed, right?
But like, how have we tried to block negotiations?
Well, Boris Johnson's actively encouraged them not to negotiate, and you can say that it's just recommendations, but when it's the recommendation of the guy keeping you alive, you listen, right?
Well, okay, but that just makes it seem like there's nothing, like any person from the West saying, here's what I think you should do, instantly that becomes like a threat, you know? I don't really think that's fair. I mean, if that's the
Like,
case, then it seems like there's literally nothing anyone from the West could really do to offer their opinion on the subject. Maybe Boris Johnson was just saying don't negotiate because like Putin famously negotiates in bad faith and lies and breaks deals and treaties and contracts all the time. And there's not really a point in negotiating with him because, you know, he's not like he's the one invading, you know? It's not like they're both in a mutual conflict or anything. Russia's in their territory. If Putin wants to end the war, he can just leave Ukraine.
yeah, we both know that's like it's not technically, practically impossible, right? For Putin himself, like he'd be gone. His regime would collapse instantly if he had just pulled out
Well,
Afghanistan style.
it needs to. His regime is like a brutal propaganda driven oligarchy. That like he took like the country was nominally democratic when the Russian Federation came about, and he's a warmongering fascist. Like, okay, so that's my point then. Like, there's no way like negotiating with him will do anything right now because
So,
he wouldn't even accept any terms that would be acceptable to Zelensky.
so while yeah, like Russia today is the leading force of fascism in Europe with their support of other fascist parties, I don't disagree with that. But like a conflict ends in I guess one out of three ways. Either they end with negotiation, annihilation, or a forever war, kind of like we have seen in Georgia, where Russia just keeps peace in a corner of the country where there are separatists, right? Keep peace, a silly word, but you know what I mean. So, and right now, like the US isn't pushing for either of those, right? So today, the I think the left's goal should be a negotiation in Ukraine's favor, and it would hard to predict. Like most realistically, the coming Ukrainian offensive is going to determine how those would look. But like pushing Russia out until the 1991 borders is a pipe dream for the most part, and the longer this war goes out, the worse it is for mostly Ukraine, as Russia has the industry to practically stay in there almost forever, as so long
Well,
as they keep trade open with China and India.
that's not true. Russia is definitely not like weathering this completely neutrally. But it sounds like what you're like why can't we just allow Ukraine to win? Just continue to push forward. It'll take a while, sure, but I don't think that makes it like a negative thing to push for, you know? Maybe the long haul is the correct one here. The alternative is basically just allowing Russia to conquer territory and people, you know, without reprisal.
Well, the reprisal Russia have faced is they have already faced a reprisal, and they will continue to face the reprisal of this war, right? So sanctions, although they haven't been as effective against Russia as they have been against other countries that have been in place on, just because Russia is a food and gas producer, so they're pretty self-reliant. But in addition to that, they have lost a huge amount of hardware and men. So even though Russia can like maintain a like 1914 style war for an insane amount of time, it's no doubt that they have seen that military engagement will give the ire of the West, right? So I think that negotiations is necessary because I don't think Ukraine can win, and even if Ukraine does win as it stands today, which would take probably years, but we will see how effective the new NATO equipment and training are.
Well, then why not?
Ukraine, like Ukraine after this war, if it wins, say it protracts the war for one more year and it wins, it would probably be in a worse situation than it was in 2013 for maybe 100 years due
No,
to a few reasons.
I don't know. That's not true. Ukraine is way stronger right now than it was a decade ago. The idea that like prolonged conflict would lead to them. No, they're making deals with the EU. When the conflict with Russia is over, they're going to open like a fully operational like EU market. There are huge tracts of land and natural resources in Ukraine. I don't think there's Ukraine stands to benefit at all um from like bringing
So,
this to a quick closer.
so there's a few things. For example, Ukraine. Remember that most of the aid that goes to Ukraine isn't giving things to Ukraine; it's lending things. So Ukraine will be in huge amount of debt that, unlike the US, its economy just can't sustain like economic superpower can. As well as that, huge amount of Ukraine has been devastated. High industrial areas, like for example Mariupol, practically doesn't exist anymore, and a lot of its food producing is also extremely damaged. Like,
Then we'll
I'm not
support
sure if
them.
you are aware of Peter Sion.
We'll support them. If there's economic damage, that's, you know, that's to be expected. Um, then I'll support whatever level of economic engagement is necessary to bring them up to where they need to be. I mean, Ukraine was doing pretty terribly back in 2014 after Euromaidan as well, so it's not like they had like a thriving industrial base to begin with. But I don't. I like. I feel like what all you're doing right now is like apologia for the invasion, basically, where it's like, you know, Russia's done a lot of damage or whatever, but you know Ukraine's kind of fucked anyway, so might as well just cut things off now and give Putin the concession he wants. When we both know damn well that if they concede to Putin, he'll just invade them again like 2 years from now. You know, there's not there.
Well,
No,
again, I'm not advocating concessions. I'm advocating negotiations. For example, I would never tell Ukraine that you just agree to Russia's like peace terms, right? A negotiation goes back and forth. It's not a one-way thing.
what could they possibly? Well, Putin has the Kremlin has specifically said that they're not willing to have um, negotiations with nothing on the table, and their preconditions require Ukraine to not join NATO, not join the EU, and remain neutral between Russia and the West. So it
So, not joining. There are steps you can take to ensure Ukraine's safety without joining NATO. A basic security guarantee would pretty practically do that, right? So the difference between a security guarantee and NATO membership is that you wouldn't have American and British, French, German troops in Ukraine. That's like a simple step. And when it comes to, for example, like silly stuff like denazifying or whatever, like sure you can disband the right sector party, which would basically give Putin the propaganda win he would need. Now again, I'm obviously not a diplomat working in Russia at the time, so it's impossible to like make out the exact terms of what a deal would be, and you
they don't
don't
want a
even have to
military
agree.
agreement either. They want total neutrality from Ukraine, which means like no military agreements whatsoever with the West. They want demilitarization. They're basically just saying if we cut things off now, we just want Ukraine to weaken itself so we can invade it again next year. All of these are preconditions for engagement. These are the starting requirements that Russia's making. There's no point in negotiating when Russia's opening position is, yeah, you basically just have to be our vassal state and we can invade you again at will. Like, what sane country would ever agree to those terms?
I wouldn't advocate for Ukraine to agree with those either, but um, Russia has been willing to go negotiate with, for example, China's peace plan, which was not perfect, I admit, but it was better than Russia's initial terms. However, you don't have to agree with all the preconditions. For example, they did have negotiations in Turkey before, which was in large part dishonest negotiations from the Russians, as it was very early in the war. And on the other side, the West were pushing Ukraine not to negotiate. So obviously, those negotiations were going nowhere. But the position now is a lot more stable, as the front is just inching meter by meter in Russia's favor, while Ukraine is massing like practically a NATO army in equipment and training.
Well, it seems like
So
there's just no reason to negotiate then. Like, from what it seems, and you agree, is like on every level, Russia's preconditions are unacceptable. They're insane, and also Putin lies constantly. So, like, why negotiate? Why even legitimize the idea of a peace deal with Putin under these conditions? Like, the only thing you're really doing by talking with him, by negotiating with him, when this is the way he's acting, is you're giving him the ability to walk away from the table and go, see, Ukraine isn't willing to come to a deal. Because the deal that Putin was willing to accept was like, yeah, become my bitch state forever, you know? There's no point. Like, they're obviously being done in bad faith. It's better to just keep the fight going. It seems like there are only two ways through this, right? Like, it's conquest of Ukraine or Russia loses entirely, because there is no actual peace state between these two countries. The way Putin is negotiating right now makes it clear that he will not accept anything other than Ukraine being his bitch, whether it's directly through like the annexation of land or indirectly through forcing them into a bunch of terrible peace treaty conditions that make them completely subject to Russia's whims. So if that's the case, they have to fight.
so okay, first of all, a few questions. How far are you willing to take this war on a United States perspective, right? So obviously, what Ukrainians want is the most important, but also impossible to like really assess, as democracy dies in war, and it happens in every single country that goes to war.
I think we
But
just supply them infinite money. I don't care. We have an infinite military budget. Like, everything we've contributed to them so far has been 5% of our military budget. It's
oh yeah, I mean, you have cash. That's not what I'm asking. But like, do you send F-16s if Russia doesn't quit, even though Ukraine pushes back to the border? Do you go into Russia? Like, how far do you think you're willing to go with this war? If Russia uses a tactical nuke, do you respond? Like, how far are you willing to go, right?
well, if
So
Russia used a
without
tactical nuke,
considering negotiations, of course.
if Russia used a nuke, we would have to kill Putin. I think at that point, like, the only sane solution would be like NATO like opsecing the fuck out of the Kremlin and just like reducing its internals into like a bloody homogenate. That any solution other than that one is an objectively incorrect one. If we establish a precedent where Putin can invade a neighboring country for literally no reason, then nuke them when he doesn't get his way, then he needs to die, and that's the only answer. Up until that point, though, like, if we're gonna talk about stuff before it gets that far, I'm fully okay with committing an enormous amount of military resources to the defeat of fascism. It's not like we're using our military budget for anything good anyway, right? Like, it's
No,
not.
I'm not asking about the money cost. I'm talking about like
F-16s,
the
yeah, sure.
human cost of the war. How much of human, like basically blood and I guess Ukrainian cities, how much do you think is wise to sacrifice if you were Ukrainian, for example, right? How much would you be willing? Like, Ukraine is left an independent or semi-independent ash. Like, how far do you think is wise to go?
Well, that's up to them. But if I had to like project myself into that decision for them and make an estimation, it seems to me like it's a war for extermination either way. Like, how hard should a country fight to resist total extermination? The answer historically is that countries almost always fight to the last breath to defend themselves, you know? Like, if a land is being invaded by a genocidal neighbor, usually, the population is willing to fight up to the last point. And we can see that through like polling data, like support for Zelensky and support for his behavior with regards to defending against Russia, where something like 90% of Ukraine's population supports what he's doing, which means that in spite of all the war and bloodshed, like, the people of Ukraine want to keep fighting. And I think that's because they agree with what I'm saying, which is that like Russia will kill all of them. Russia's conditions for a cessation of conflict right now are that Ukraine make themselves open to a follow-up invasion. Putin just wants the blood and soil thing, like, there's no way around that. You can only go through it.
So I think, like, so you believe fascism? Oh, fucking hell. Do you actually believe that? I'm sorry if I curse. Is that okay, by the way?
You can
I done
curse.
it a few times. I'm sorry.
You can curse, and your
Okay.
English is excellent. You have nothing to apologize about.
Thanks. Thanks. No. So first of all, do you think actually Russia's okay? When you talk about Russia doing a genocide, do you think like Holocaust, like extermination genocide, or Russification, which sounds not so serious, but like the extermination of a culture, the extermination of a people?
I think it would be a broad extermination of their culture, along with camps built for dissidents, which would probably be like most of the population. And I think that it
Yeah,
would be
we
kind of
completely.
like a Uyghur Muslim thing, where it would be like a state of like broader police occupation, where people who like they would probably do widespread bans of certain cultural or like historical or language things, people who like, for example, supported Zelensky or like associates with the regime or anything like that. And then like if they were caught doing that, they'd be sent to camps and they would either be like killed or quote unquote re-educated. I don't think it would literally be like the death of the entire population, but I think it would like easily clear like anyone's definition of a genocide, both on a cultural and a population level.
I mean, yeah, possibly. I mean, I think it's. Will never say it's impossible because they do a lot of crazy shit from time to time. But I think we're probably more like a Turkish treatment of the Kurds, which is awful. But I mean, for example, Russia fought a separatist war with Chechnya in the 1990s, but they didn't turn to then just eliminate the culture, even though it was a separatist war because Chechens have a distinct culture.
Well, I do
But
think what's happened to the Kurds is also genocide. I support
okay,
Kurdish
yeah,
independence movements, and yeah,
oh, absolutely, me too.
some people in chat have been pointing out that like there's already been an effort to like steal Ukrainian children and reassign them to Russian parents. I in a lot of ways it kind of reminds me of
Yeah,
like the Native American thing, where a ton of the Native Americans who died, it actually wasn't our fault. It was disease. We didn't control that. But then we come like after their population has been decimated, right? Like we show up, and then it's like this mixture of dishonest land treaties, like outright mass killings, and like this weird cultural co-opting thing where they send the children to boarding schools and it's illegal to like smoke a peace pipe within a town or whatever, and like all that crap together. And the broad effect of that right now is that like Native American people are like kind of gone. Like they're not really gone in the US, but it's not their land
yeah. I
anymore.
mean,
And I
it's not a
think,
cultural force anymore.
yeah, and I think that's kind of what would happen with Ukraine. Maybe not as severely as that, but I mean, given what's on the table, I can't blame Ukrainians for wanting to fight.
Yeah, I mean, as as I mentioned earlier, like I don't disagree with Ukraine's willingness to fight. What my issue is um that in a sense, yeah, obviously Russia is in the wrong, but you have to negotiate and end to the war, which will satisfy Ukraine. And I don't say they don't fight while they negotiate, as that's exactly what they did last time. But I think, especially like either they negotiate before the offensive while a warning is there, or they sort of gamble it. But I think if they don't negotiate, Ukraine will also become less and less independent after the war, the longer the war goes on, as their economic situation will be more and more destitute. I mean, large part of Eastern Europe today is still in a state of basically third world status, right? You have slums in Romania that are far worse than many in Africa, right? Um, so, and the longer the war stays on, the more dependent they will be on the West and be essentially colonized by the West,
Well,
especially by countries like Germany for cheap labor and such.
Ukraine has significant natural resources it can take advantage of. But also, like, none of what you're saying doesn't remain the case if they just surrender to Russia and become their effective vassal, you know? Like, all,
That's not what I'm arguing for.
well, the conditions that were like when we talk about conditions to negotiate for, that is what we're talking about because that's the only thing that Russia's allowing for.
I mean, you say that, but it I don't necessarily think that's the case, as they have been positive to a Chinese peace plan.
Didn't they
And
reject
China
that?
would not have proposed a peace plan without talking to Russia first, obviously.
Didn't they reject that peace plan though?
Russia?
Did
I have
that?
not seen that update, but if that has come, then I might be wrong on that. I'm open to that fact.
Um, I mean, a lot of like China's peace plan, I'm pretty sure was pretty bad for Ukraine anyway. Um,
Yeah, it's not perfect, but that's why I negotiated to better your terms
but
while you fight on the battlefield to try to better your terms there as well.
the only acceptable term is that Russia leaves, though, because all of their term, like Russia has made their intentions clear. It's like death now or death later. Everything that Russia has done and signaled, all of the like, you can go on Russian state media and see them talk about what's going on, and like they're openly genocidal over there. Um, in on
Certain
Russian
anchors,
state,
yeah.
yeah, like a ton of Russian state actors nonstop are like, yeah, haha, we'll they say Buka was bad, we'll do Buka 10 times over. We'll kill them all. Yeah, blah, blah. Like they're insanely bloodthirsty over there, and those guys aren't like random YouTubers. Those are paid agents of the state. The reason they're saying that stuff up there is because the state, the Kremlin, wants the population of Russia to be dismissive of a genocide against Ukrainian people. Like they want the average Russian citizen to think like, oh, genocide of Ukrainians? Well, they're not a real people anyway. That's like the explicit goal on the table here. So given all of this, I just don't think there's a point in engaging with any kind of negotiation. If Russia wants to end the war, they can leave. They always have that power. Um Outside of that, what are we even doing?
So, first of all, yeah, the rhetoric on Russian state TV is absolutely insane. Seen some of it, or at least translated. Yeah, it's genocide. I don't disagree with that. At the same time, for example, when I know Iraq has been taken up way too many times during the conversation about Ukraine, but for example, when the United States invaded Iraq, George Bush was referring to it as a crusade constantly, right? But even though he referred to it as a crusade, it didn't mean that they actually like slapped the cross on the soldiers and started like forcibly converting the population.
I mean,
Like, yeah, the
Christian
rhetoric is insane,
supremacy.
and their actions are also horrible. But I do not think that's the state policy goal is to genocide Ukraine.
Well,
I think the state policy goal is to expand Russian influence and to stop further NATO sort of like encroachment into what they consider their sphere of influence.
but their sphere of influence is one that they constantly invade and bully. NATO like does its shit consensually. Leaving aside the Iraq comparison and like looking at what we're seeing right here, it is very like Russia will not accept anything other than a Ukraine they control. They have never at any point even remotely entertained the idea of Ukraine being a part of the West. Yanukovych was a puppet of Putin, and the moment Yanukovych got ousted for trying to become a dictator, um, Putin fucking started the war in the Donbass. Like the beginning of this, the beginning of the invasion of Ukraine was a direct consequence of the puppet leader that he wanted to control Ukraine on his behalf being ousted. Given all of this, I just don't think there's any reason to believe that that they will accept any outcome for Ukraine other than total conquest. And total conquest in this case would necessitate a cultural genocide because that's what they've been talking about this whole time. Ukraine's not a real country. Ukraine is really a part of Russia. They talk about how the nationhood of Ukraine is just like a Nazi Banderite thing, and that it's illegitimate. That they're doing Nazi fighting by taking it over. I just don't think there's any world in which concessions to Russia bring about anything other than a slow death for Ukraine.
Okay, I guess we kind of do come to a sense of impassable disagreement on Russia's willingness to negotiate on that, because I think that's sort of the key question. Like, because neither of us want Ukraine to surrender, obviously, but for my part, I do believe that you have to negotiate at some point, because I think Russia will continue to use their military-industrial complex to keep the war going and use their superior population uh, as to military manpower, especially as enormous amount of Ukraine has left the war at this point. So for me, like a forever war in Ukraine goes into Russia's favor. I do think that it's more intelligent to negotiate a way out of this rather than to destroy both countries, especially Ukraine, which in that case it loses either way. Either it loses by losing to Russia, which would be probably the worst option of them all, or it loses by having the entire industry and production capabilities destroyed, and then becoming a colony of the West as sort of a cheap labor force and cheap natural resources.
I mean,
Because you
even the
mentioned that
worst
Ukraine
case.
has resources, but so does the Congo, right? And so does many other Latin American countries. But it doesn't mean that they get rich or get by.
Okay,
It means that they are.
I don't think there's any reason to believe the West's relationship with Ukraine would be anywhere near that exploitative. We've committed a pretty significant amount of resources, broadly, to help Ukraine. We're not the ones colonizing them. Russia is. It just seems kind of like disingenuous in a situation where Russia is choosing to invade Ukraine, that we're having a conversation about whether we colonize them, like in the future after helping them defeat, like, like we can see where the actual threat is right now for the
I
Ukrainian
mean, yeah,
people.
Russia is like. There's no pretending that Russia isn't the bad guy in this. They obviously are. But the thing, like for example, yeah, we have spent huge amounts to help Ukraine, but we used spent huge amounts to help South Vietnam, for example, and yeah, we lost there, but it didn't mean that we cared about the country in any meaningful capacities. And the West has sent, or mainly the US as the primary Western hegemon, has spent enormous resources in countries like Iraq, but it doesn't mean that they create a relationship beneficial to Iraqis.
But we're trying to get Ukraine to join the EU. I mean, we're like, this isn't the Congo. We're pretty clearly trying to bring Ukraine into the fold as like a European country as part of the West. Um, like it just seems odd to me that when it comes to the intentions of Russia, you're relatively charitable in that your immediate like assumption isn't that all of this meandering about negotiation is just a way for them to pave the way for like future control of the country. But then when it comes to the West and all of the assistance and military equipment and money we've given them, it's like, ah, well, maybe we're just going to turn them into the Congo. Don't you think, like, if there's anyone to be more suspicious of, it's clearly Russia, and the Ukrainian people agree because the Ukrainian people want to be a part of the EU and want to be a part of NATO, and they want to fight against Russia, and Russia is the one choosing to do all of this. It seems like we're assigning no agency to Russia. They're just a force of nature that gets to be evil for fun. And but somehow, even though their evil is something we take for granted, we're making predictions based on the West suddenly being way more evil than it has been up to this point, and Russia being less evil than it has been up to this point in the future.
I don't think Russia will become any less evil. Probably more until and Putin dies. But if you take the West, for example, you can look at the way they treated large parts of Eastern Europe up until now. For example, Hungary has now turned into a sort of fascist pseudo one or pretend to be democracy. Romania still has massive slums and huge amount of poor people, and those are EU countries. I know Hungary is, I think Romania is. Um, like yeah, economic realities remain, even though the West were acting in the best of like intentions, without like immense resources to rebuild Ukraine, like matching those we used to
And how's
rebuild
how's
Germany.
Belarus doing?
Oh, Belarus is doing horribly. I'm not saying that Ukraine would do better under Russian occupation. It would do worse. That's not my argument. My argument is that you want them to be a colony of neither.
But they're
So to do that, you would
but again, like
need to.
that's really disingenuous when Russia is literally invading them and we're their ally and we keep offering them things and all of them want to be with us. I don't we're not in a Ukraine is not a single independent country that is being fought over by two equally domineering and possessive like colonial entities. We are their allies, and Russia is their enemy. There's the ambiguity just doesn't exist there.
So we are their ally, but it's not like countries aren't people. We are their allies, but we're not their friends, first of all. But second of all, I wouldn't argue that Russia is working in good faith. I'm not trying to defend Russia in any way. I'm not saying that you should make concessions that leaves Ukraine open for invasion number two, right?
And what concessions would
But
you agree to?
for example, when you are fighting your situation in America, right, with the Republicans just going crazy mode, what you always, I from what I watched from his streams, is you keep repeating that you need to fight for time, right? That you can't go to the most like hardcore socialists at this time because you need to first and foremost prevent the or coming onslaught of fascism, and then you can focus on more like idealized goals. The same kind of logic I would bring to this conflict, where what you have to do first is to get an end to the destruction of Ukraine, while also keeping Russia from colonizing or occupying or enslaving practically the country. And I think you can reach those two goals, maybe not in a first round of negotiations. It might not just like happen. But I think by starting a negotiation process while fighting, you are way more likely to come to a
But
conclusion that ends better for Ukraine
but
in
Putin only negotiates in
victory.
bad faith. I don't think we have any evidence ever of Putin engaging in like military aggression where he negotiates in a fashion that leads to the mutual benefit of the two parties. Like
Yeah,
he's
that
pretty universally like an evil guy when it comes to this. What concessions would you even agree to then? All the stuff you said you wouldn't want is stuff that Russia said is like a deal breaker if they don't have.
I mean, yeah, but obviously they try to enter a negotiation as strong as possible. Every country does. Like the FARC didn't say that, oh yeah, of course we'll lay down our weapons when they eventually did negotiate. But yeah, you have to like sort of to one extent ignore the bullshit, but to another extent, like, yeah, you said that, yeah, but we're willing to negotiate, but this, and this we don't negotiate with, and you try to open dialogue while not um, agreeing to the worst
All right,
concessions,
well,
right?
Ukraine has done
And
that because they've said that they're open at any time to accept Russia's unconditional retreat.
yeah, right. But
No,
that's like
that's my unironic
that's
answer.
rhetoric, right? That's not
No,
serious.
no, no, no. That's a charitable offer because in a world without nukes, Ukraine would be seriously pushing for Russian territory after this. Um,
Oh yeah, 100%. A
yeah,
world without nuke would probably have the Cold War ended a lot differently as well. But that's
the fact
not
that
reality
Russia
we live in.
has like leaving on the table is a blessing to them. So like what other set of negotiations would be acceptable? He's the one who invaded, he's the one who has to leave.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, yeah, I'm obviously in an ethical world, Russia would just have to leave. But where you fight until Russia leaves probably will reduce Ukraine to a third world country at best.
But
So, for example, like I guess it's two things. First, what I tried to mention earlier is, for example, Peter Sayan, um, I guess he's a geopolitical strategist who worked for Stratfor. Um, expect Ukraine to become a food importer for the first time in the country's history in not that long of a time if the war continues, right? And Russia would probably disintegrate beyond that. As well as that when it comes to like Putin's good faith or trustworthiness, there is none. I don't say you trust Putin to honor the negotiations other than to stop the war, right? But then will be the West's job to strategize behind the scenes to get a way to protect Ukraine, right? For example, Taiwan is not in NATO, and it wouldn't need an official military alliance with the US for the US to intervene on their behalf, as the US has intervened many a times with countries they haven't had official military relationships, or relationship is the wrong word, treaties with, that you still can intervene. You still can make sure Russia knows that if they try bullshit again, the cost will be even higher the next time.
No, wait, no, this has the opposite effect that you think it does. Russia or Ukraine conceding early and going like, "Oh, don't hurt me anymore, big boy Russia." Okay, sure. In the meantime, you can have these concessions while trying to build up time. Well, these concessions will invariably require Ukraine to not be a part of NATO or any military alliance or the EU, which means they won't be able to regrow in the fashion you suggest. Russia will consider it an escalation if we provide them assistance, military or economic, because that will be a prerequisite of Russia's treaty making with them. And then additionally, like, you think that after we essentially tell Russia, like, okay, you get away with this one, oopsie whoopsie, that they're going to be more cautious about us directly intervene in the future? We've told them the opposite. We did appeasement. I do not buy the idea that, like, there is any purpose to negotiating, and I don't buy the idea that Russia would accept any set of negotiations that would not just be laying the groundwork for future military action against Ukraine. Everything they've said seems to suggest this, and I really think we're just playing ourselves for cucks here. The best thing we can do is keep fighting, and the fight's going well. Ukraine is pushing Russia further and further back. Russia has had like basically no territorial gains, but every couple of months they have like a massive territorial loss. The news out of there is consistently positive. Russia's capable of maintaining like its stores of ammunition for a while, but not everything else. It's running out of tanks, and eventually it's going to run out of people. It may have a lot of people, but it doesn't have a lot of morale. I mean, the reservists that they lied to and brought on board, like, at the beginning of the war were unhappy enough to be there in the first place. Now they're, like, doing conscript drafts for the Weimar group. They have a bunch of, like, prisoners with no military training dying on the front lines. It's literally, like, the Russian military strategy right now is just throwing a bunch of untrained dudes at the front lines and relying on massive reserves of Cold War artillery. Wagner group, not Weimar group. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Relying on massive reserves of artillery and ammunition in order to like pound the front lines from a distance, so their god awfully trained soldiers don't actually see any direct combat. Like it's not going well for Russia, and Russia can't keep this up forever. China isn't happy with how Russia's doing right now. It's pretty obvious geopolitically that China considers Russia a liability, which they are. And I don't think we should rely on Russia getting like nonstop access to Chinese military equipment in order to continue these fronts. You know, there's just a lot going wrong for Russia.
So while I would definitely agree that Russia isn't exactly performing like most people expected, to say it the least, the situation lately has been Russia taking, while small amounts of territory in like landmass, having huge battles to disintegrate Ukrainian military. Obviously, I mean, I've been to the military, but I'm not a military expert. But what I would argue is that, yeah, Russia is capable, or has stalled, which is awesome. Although I would be careful to believe that Ukraine can fight them back, at least, I guess, until the new offensive, which will be Ukraine bringing everything like shiny that they recently gotten. But I guess to some extent we kind of reach at a stalemate on the like idea that first and foremost the war can be won, and second, fuck, I should have wrote it down. I think you argue that never mind, I think I forgot. But I think like, yeah, if I were to adopt your view of the conflict and how the conflict is going, as well as the way that it can end, I would probably adopt your view. But I think I'm way more skeptical to the belief that a military victory where you push back to the 1991 borders is possible. Is I mean, from my analysis, almost impossible, or at least extremely unlikely. I think what is more likely is that, yeah, Ukraine is going to have a major offensive. It's impossible to know how that's going to go, because remember, when Ukraine had not the Kiev one, but the second like major counteroffensive, which took a large swath of territory, that was before Russian conscription, where their invasion force was like around 1/3 the manpower that they have now. Taking territory now won't be like speeding through like thinly defended Russian lines. It will be facing an artillery wall and a wall of dug-in soldiers, which is infinitely harder and infinitely more costly in manpower, especially in areas that are not forested. So I would be skeptical to the after the draft how capable Ukraine are of taking territory. But I will agree that if Ukraine managed to like separate for example, separate the land bridge to Crimea, I would probably adopt your worldview or your view of how the conflict should end. But in lieu of that, or before that has happened, or if it fails, I would definitely stand for trying to end this by negotiation and obviously not surrendering and obviously not giving Russia like outsized influence in Ukraine, but probably something like, for example, Kurdistan in Iraq, where the Kurds are practically independent with their own like local governance, but still a part of Iraq. And obviously, all Russian soldiers will have to go in a treaty, but with some concessions
What
with
if I
that.
just think that Putin is the threat to global security and I just want Ukraine to resist for as long as possible so that his failure can lead his oligarch buddies to toss him out of a window?
So the problem there is there's no one really to replace Putin, at least not today.
Well, let the
There
country
isn't
collapse then.
really. That would probably be really bad for everyone. Like, it's impossible to predict such a scenario with accuracy, but the fight over Russian gas, as right now Germany is deindustrializing because of their lack of energy, will probably scramble along with China on the other side, who's also dependent on Russian gas, to like war over different fracturing ethnic and national states.
Well,
I,
then, damn, sounds like a shit country. Like,
yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
the problem is
It
like right,
100% is.
like it seems like the problem is right now. Like, this is an impossible win with Putin continuing to be in office because with Putin,
It
it's
is.
yeah, it's with Putin, it's like he wants to invade all the countries around him. He wants blood and soil. He
Yeah.
wants to bring the empire back, and also he threatens to nuke the world constantly. And also helping your allies that he just arbitrarily decides are his property is a threat against him. Like everything that he does is just like impossible to deal with. Purely because his country has nukes. It seems like the only
Yeah.
actual way forward is like, okay, fine, you want to abduct all these countries. Okay, well, here's Ukraine. Good luck with it, you know. And then if he suffers and if it doesn't work out for him, that's what needs to happen.
I guess an analogy I would use in this situation is kind of Russia has pretty much taken everything around them hostage in a sense. But if you go to a hostage negotiation, you don't just breach the front door, because the second you do that, all the hostages would start getting executed, right? You either have to take out the leader, which hope in a ideal world the Russian people would do. Either that, or you have to negotiate the release of the hostages. Because if you just charge the door, every hostage that in that room will get shot in the head. And right now, if you just like try to outright fight Russia with no like breaks, you would probably end up in a much worse situation than if you either try to negotiate the release of the hostages, or you hope that you find a way to have the Russian leader removed and replaced with someone who is a bit more practically minded.
I mean, but the situation, right? This is the situation. It's him breaking his back against Ukraine. That's the like, this is the good ending. What other
So I
situation
don't
is
think,
going to arise that could potentially lead to enough of a decrease? God damn it! Enough of a decrease in popularity and prominence for Putin that we would be able to get this opportunity.
yeah, but I don't think that you can do that. Like, you can do that if you, I mean, yes, are willing to send like more and better Ukrainian weapons and
Sure.
probably sacrifice the whole of Ukraine.
Well, I'm
But
not sacrificing them. They support Zelensky.
they, yeah, but they don't have like. I don't want to compare Ukraine to like a dictatorship because it's a country of war, and as I said earlier, no
They're a liberal
democracy
democracy.
survives in war, and no democracy should, because democracy and war are sort of oxymorons. Um, but you don't really know. Like, yeah, he got 96% approval rating, but so does Assad, and no, Ukraine isn't as bad as Assad.
No, 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 that's
But
bullshit.
I
No, 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 no. The polls for Assad's popularity are literally like the Syrian government like points a gun at you and it's like, "Hey, how do you feel about Assad?" Oh, you like him? Great, thanks. Like, no, that's not true. Ukraine is a liberal democracy. It's not a dictatorship. The measures that
it,
Zelensky has taken to curb dissidents within the country are well within lines for a liberal democracy that's being invaded. It's less
I
significant than what a lot of Western European democracies did when being invaded by Germany in World War II.
I would not be more liberal than Zelensky if my country were invaded. So again, it's not like a judgment of the country of Ukraine, but at the same time, calling it a liberal democracy is somewhat disingenuous,
It
as it's
is.
first of all the most corrupt country in Europe.
No, no,
Uh,
no, wait,
it,
no, hold on. They have had massive reductions in political corruption over the past a decade and a half. A huge portion of their political corruption came from the fact that they were effectively a Russian puppet state up until Euromaidan
yep,
and Yanukovych was ousted. Additionally, there is no contest on Zelensky's popularity. The political corruption has to do with like a number of ways in which their country isn't perfectly operated, but it has nothing to do with the legitimacy of Zelensky's popularity. The idea that he's even remotely comparable to Assad is just disingenuous.
I tried to incorporate that in what I said, that they're not the same. I would never argue that. Assad is first of all a lot more brutal, and second of all never had a pretend democracy even.
No,
But
no, it's no. Ukraine is a
but
real democracy.
I will say that they are aspiring to be one, but at the same time that I wouldn't call Hungary a real democracy. I think it's pretty rough to call
No,
Ukraine a democracy.
Orban is a dictator who's made massive strides to de-democratize his country and attack the press. Like Zelensky hasn't. Where are you getting these comparisons from?
So, first of all, even though they have done strides against corruption, it doesn't really change the fact that it is an extremely corrupt country. And for example, reports of vast amount of small arms leaving Ukraine because the general's selling them, or other. For example, Zelensky recently fired a ton of cabinets because they were all taking vacations while the country were at war.
What does that
Like,
have to do with the
while
legitimacy of
Ukraine
his
is
popularity?
infinitely wait, what?
What is that? Your comparison was to Assad to imply that his popularity
Oh
was like a
yeah,
government like
because
fabrication.
first of all, um, if you, for example, try to in any way, like obviously this is not a condemnation of Ukraine because this is what country does at war. Just it's what country does at war. But if you're in the opposition of Zelensky now, or try to, for example, demonstrate or show any pro-Russian sentiment, you'll get immediately disappeared or arrested. Right?
Yeah,
Disappeared not in as executed in some backyard, but you will disappear as taken to prison. Right?
that's
And
fine.
that's fine. But if everyone who is openly against the Ukrainian government is then arrested or intimidated into silence, they will remain silent. So don't think you can get a genuine pull out of a country in a brutal war for
No,
survival where
no,
the government is
people
taking
are
every measure to
no,
ensure that.
no. The polling we have for support of Zelensky is not being done by Zelensky's government. That's the
No,
difference.
it's not. Didn't argue that.
Well, right.
But
So no, 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 no. Hold on. Anonymous polling being done for Ukrainians for their support for Zelensky is not like these people are worrying they're going to get disappeared if their anonymous answer comes back as no. The people who are being arrested by Zelensky's government are Russian operatives and people openly supportive of the country invading them. Like this isn't like you get arrested if you disapprove of Zelensky. It's not illegal to criticize Zelensky over there. You don't get disappeared for that. The parties that have been shut down were literal pro-Russian parties. People have been
yeah,
disappeared for
and
being
I don't
directly
disagree
connected
with
to Russia.
I don't disagree with the decision to remove pro-Russian parties. We removed the Nazi Party after World War II for obvious reasons, right? But I think a comparison is, for example, when international polling, so in like objective, like Gallup or something, does polling in Russia, there are always suspicions about the accuracy of the polling, even though they are anonymous, because the population, first of all, is scared that it may be someone presenting as an independent poll while they're really not, or if someone that you are next to hear them and possibly report them for their views or something like that. So even though, yes, I believe that people responded in those polls and those polls reflected what the people responded with. But I believe that if one, enormous amounts of people who don't support the current regime are either leaving Ukraine or are in prison,
So wait,
or they're
no, this
intimidated
this
in
is
some way to answering honestly to the poll.
this is bullshit again. Like you're just speculating. I
Yeah,
like there are
I mean,
polls. There are polls
it
taken.
doesn't.
There are polls taken of Russian citizens, and oftentimes those polls give weird results. But I think a lot of that is just because Russian citizens are retarded and they're subject to a 24/7 propaganda machine their dictatorial government controls. When polling is done on Ukrainians, there is no question of legitimacy of the polling. It's just polling being done of people. And you just imply
Yes,
that people who disagree with what's being done in the country are leaving. People are leaving because they don't want to die. The majority of the
that's why
refugees are women and
most leave.
children.
Obviously, yes, yes, absolutely. Of course, millions of people didn't flee before Russia went apeshit, right? So that's not a debate. But also, if you are, for example, red, or if you are extremely nationalist, if you are more, what you would say, patriotic, or a massive fan of the current regime, you are less likely to leave. And if you already dislike the current regime, you are more likely to
No,
leave.
I no,
Or if you
I'm
are,
sorry. This is I think this is nonsense. This began with an argument that you can't trust 94% support of Zelensky because Assad also has ridiculously high support. And now we've watered that down to maybe the legitimate polls that accurately recorded people's authentic support for Zelensky without duress or threat aren't actually totally representative because they might be slightly more likely to stay if they're already feeling nationalistic. No. It's a liberal democracy. It has problems with corruption. I don't deny this, but the idea that like we don't have an accurate read on what the Ukrainian people want right now is wrong. We've never had a more accurate read on what people want during wartime. This is the most accurate we've ever gotten because polling's never been this good. We've never been this international, you know?
okay, but so you do genuinely believe that 94% of Ukrainians do support Zelensky?
I think it's actually 91%. But yeah, why wouldn't they?
I don't know. It's 90 something, but okay. I guess I'll disagree. It's impossible to get data to sort of like uh, factually assess it, but I think it's a lot of things. Obviously, wartime president, especially in something like this, will get popular. I don't disagree that it is hugely popular, but I think that saying that someone, because a poll pointed that he has 90 something percent favorability, is sort of
I mean, do you have any evidence
unimaginable.
to the contrary? The idea that Zelensky is somehow unpopular?
I don't think he's unpopular. I think he's hugely popular. I think that what I argue is that the polls are exaggerated. Like, obviously, it was super unpopular before Russia went apeshit, but yeah, in a wartime, a president will get hugely popular and is extremely charismatic in wartime. So I don't disagree that it is
Wait,
popular.
is it real or not? Because I
No,
agree.
I would say he's popular, but I would strongly it would take a lot for me to believe, I guess, that he has 90 some or 94, 91% approval. I mean, if I'm wrong, or if he's still that popular after the war, then I'll shut up, I guess. But in lieu of like any way to scientifically measure it, then I it's not that much I can say.
Yeah,
Other than
it just
that, of
seems
course, that
odd to like
population.
because you've like suggested it's not a real democracy and like we can't actually accurately track his popularity. But like, why? How? I mean, all the
So I
evidence we
would
have.
suggest that it's not a liberal democracy due to the fact that huge parts of the same oligarchy that run the country under like Russian, what you say, pseudo client statism, are still running the country, are still owning vast swaths of the country. The same oligarchs that used to bribe pro-Russian politicians still bribe pro-Ukrainian politicians. For example, um, Ukraine took hugely unpopular decisions with their dealings with the EU, like selling of farmlands to the EU, despite polling showing that the population was majorly against it.
But democracies
Now, to,
have, but
to that extent, I would probably not. I mean, maybe our definition are dissimilar, but I would not call the United States a fully liberal democracy either. So maybe our perspectives are differently because I
oh,
live in social democracy, and maybe our standards are different.
well, we're
But it will
talking about
be
liberal democracy, and we like that's liberals for you. Um, I feel like we've moved the goalposts so much. Like we were talking about whether or
quite true.
not it was us sacrificing Ukrainian people to conflict with Putin, and I said, well, this is reflective of what they want, and it's like, well, no, it's not because it's not a democracy because it's like Assad, and now it's back to like, okay, well, they're like America, but like if American people want something, then it wouldn't still be really a democracy, so like it's still not enough, and it seems like the outcome of this is that there's no like the opinion of the Ukrainian people just isn't relevant to you. It just doesn't factor into your perception of how the country should behave.
I think if Ukrainians are in agreement that they are willing to fight to the last person dying to fight, then I mean, I guess. But um, to me, I would doubt that. But I haven't like if there are polling that says that Ukraine is willing to fight till the last Ukrainian basically to stay with Russians, they should be
To the
allowed
last
to do that.
soldier,
There's
at
nothing I
least.
can do to stop that.
I mean, to the last soldier,
But
at least, yeah.
yeah. Um, but for me, yeah, like yeah, I would agree that they have the right to do that. I would just argue that from my perspective, that would be silly. I would not be willing to sacrifice every single military age male in my own country to fight off. I would be willing to fight, but it's always a cost benefit analysis that has to be done. And I believe that the current rate of how things are going, the cost will start to highly outweigh the cost of fighting to, or not outweigh the cost of surrender, but outweigh the cost of negotiations.
But
I believe that if
I don't think negotiations will lead to anything. I think they're a total waste of time. Putin can leave if he wants to leave.
yeah, but for example, arguing that you can't trust Russia would be like saying that you should never negotiate with the United States because of the Iran treaty, right?
Yeah, well,
But I
that
would
first of
still
all,
argue if
that would be fair. Yeah. If for example, the United States like arbitrarily invaded a country for literally no reason, the United States had state media and politicians that were openly broadcasting a desire to genocide and murder your population, stating you weren't a real country and that you belonged to them anyway. And then we came out with a list of preconditions for negotiations, which basically involved you becoming our vassal state. I would not like pressure a country we were doing all of this to go like, come on, negotiate with us. Like, it's in your best interest. I would probably say, like, yeah, obviously this is a complete waste of time. There's no reason to take any of this seriously. Like, you're being fought to annihilation here, and I think you should treat it that way.
say if the United States invaded Venezuela, which it almost did under the Trump presidency, and Russia and China started pouring weapons in, right? I wouldn't argue. I would. I would argue that we should support the Venezuelans and that the Venezuelans are fighting the right fight and they should continue fighting and we should aid them in the fight. But I will also say that you should probably negotiate with the United States and see if you can reach terms that you're willing to agree on. I don't say that you agree with terms that are unacceptable. Obviously, you just don't agree to those terms. But I say that they should open negotiations because if they don't, the United States military will probably turn Venezuela into dust, and the people who currently live there, although they're not in the best shape from before, will be in immensely worse shape after the war.
I mean, if you thought the United States was negotiating in good faith, then maybe, but outside of that, there's just no point.
Well, with the current history of the United States negotiations, wouldn't you advocate for it?
The United States doesn't advocate in or negotiate anything even approximating as bad of faith as Ukraine. First of all, we haven't.
Maybe not like, okay, so I don't
Or
think
sorry, is
Obama
Russia.
negotiated in bad faith, but because of, the Republicans existing, you can't really trust shit, right?
I don't think there's a comparison. Like Putin is incredibly honest compared to the Republicans. There's no comparison between the two. What
Yep.
happened with the Iran deal was just we backed out of a deal. That's bad, and I disagree with it, and I agree that it like undermines trust in the United States. But that like it is impossible to compare this to the insane level of open dishonesty that Putin operates on at like every level of his diplomatic engagement. Everything that he does is dripping with insincerity, and everyone knows it too. It's like the most well-known fact around in the intelligence communities all around the world. Like everyone knows this. They have to talk about it op-eds. Like, yeah, what does Putin do? Putin engages in strategic disinformation as a primary political strategy, where everything
Oh
Russia
yeah.
does is blurred with a trillion like obvious lies that get thrown out there. And it doesn't matter if they're believable. The point is just to fill the feed with bullshit. Because that's all you really need to like dishonestly back up the conversation to the point where you can go ahead. Russia's opening terms are not acceptable to Ukraine. They're also a negotiating partner. If Russia really wants negotiations, then they need to have better opening terms. You can't blame the vendor for not wanting to do business with you if you're running around the market going like, yes, I will sell this apple for $1,000. Why will nobody negotiate with me? You're all terrible. Like, well, no. Start at a lower price.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wish Russia would do that, but with the current situation, um, I think that you obviously try to reduce the price as much as you can, and after a conversation, you see if it's worth it. Like, obviously, you don't need an apple, but you need the fact that your country is being annihilated. And currently, at least the eastern parts are, and to an extent, like power grids affect the whole country.
By Russia, so we
So
have to beat Russia back.
yes, yeah, but like you can view like Russia as some like I don't know 40k orcs or something. Like either way,
They
like
certainly
or
want to
take
be
that.
viewed that way.
Yeah. So so like even though they are, you either have to try to fucking I don't know buy them off. You have to try something, right?
Yeah, well,
Because
we're
if the only
currently trying a strategy right
option
now,
is maybe Ukraine cease to exist as a historical entity, I don't think that's a good idea.
or just wins. They could win.
But what if they lose then?
If they lose, then they lose. But I don't think any other option was ever viable. And I think our responsibility is to give them the best possible shot for winning. But right now they're
Yeah, I guess.
winning. They're gaining territory.
Yeah,
I mean, Russia
I
started
guess.
rolling out the T what was the T-54s recently?
Yeah, but that's well. So in military terms, it's not the most super important thing to like debate, but they were replacements for artillery. I saw one person argue. I haven't done like a full like multiple source reading on this, but they have to replace their artillery, so they're using like T-55 as a placeholder. But if they actually pull them into warfare, they will just vanish. So I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that Russia is in like it's not the superpower that we thought, but still remember like the Russian T-90s, for example, which they still are producing, and will probably stop selling to India and use themselves instead, are some of like the good tanks that are currently being operated around the planet. I think it's first of all, if you gamble on a complete victory or complete defeat, you can argue based on odds and consequences that it might be worth it. But at least I'm not that much of a gambler, so I would probably argue that yes, you fight, you keep fighting, and we keep giving Ukraine the support it needs to continue the fight, and preferably more, because right now we just give them weapons to like keep the status quo more or less. But like without that, would probably be a better strategy to negotiate and see if there are ways to end the war. Because if you want to fight to annihilation, I mean, it's heroic, but mathematically, it seems like it's the worst option.
I think that empirically you're just like completely wrong on this. Every level of this indicates that Russia will not accept anything other than the complete conquest of Ukraine. and there is no benefit whatsoever to prolonging things. You just have to win the fight, and the fight, like so far, is going well for Ukraine. As slow and painful as it is, every major like event that has taken place in the war's history has been to the benefit of Ukraine. Um, Whether or not they can
Not the
win
last
completely,
month though.
not the last
What?
the last month has been like skirmishing over the border. We're talking about movements on the line of conflict of like a couple of miles at most. Not like
Bloodiest battle of the war is currently ongoing and has been ongoing for a while in Bakhmut, right?
how many soldiers has Russia lost failing to take Bakhmut?
They have surrounded the city, or like strategically surrounded it,
They surrounded
technically.
Kharkiv.
Yeah, but they didn't have like a force to take Kharkiv. It's different. But for example, they haven't completely surrounded. I don't want to give false information here. They are like strategically surrounded, so they have like vision over the highways. But um, so for example, yeah, I mean it's a bloodbath in Bakhmut. But remember, it's also a huge amount of casualties for Ukraine to the extent that the United States recommended them to pull out a while ago, because they would start to lose more than they gain. But probably it's for a strategic reason they want to surround the Wagner force. Probably, at least I go according to the Wagner boss, which you know trustworthiness is not the best. But yeah, like arguing for military things is hard as we're not generals, and obviously the fog of war is really hard. But I like from my perspective, if we want to argue on who wins, it's a gamble both ways. But I think Russia has the military capacity to, if not conquer like
We'll
Eastern
see.
Ukraine entirety. Yeah, we'll see.
I think Bakhmut is going well for Ukraine. On the Wikipedia page, it says that there's an estimate of around 30,000 killed and wounded from Russia. NATO estimates of Ukrainian casualties are 1/5 of that. Um, I mean, the DPR claims more, but like it's
Yeah,
it's
but
difficult to get these wartime updates, but I don't think Bakhmut is like
yeah,
a
it's
show
impossible.
of Russian success in the Ukrainian war.
It's not. It's a show of Wagner being able to get something done, but not much more than that, and at a
Because they're
huge cost.
recruiting prisoners. They're
Yes,
literally, yeah, they're literally,
yeah.
it's literally a fucking penal legion.
Wagner is a suicide squad of led by Nazis. I mean, I'm not like arguing that it's the paragon of military might, um, but the thing is, I guess without the like military knowledge of generals, would you agree that if the upcoming upcoming offensive ends in disaster, that is more intelligent to go into negotiations? So like varying, I guess, the goal or our opinions on the next military move, which will be like a huge like show of force. If it fails, we then agree
Nah,
that
0.
negotiations is a
I
better.
I would disagree even more. Entering bad faith negotiations after one military loss after a year and a half of military victories would be a terrible idea. All it would do is make you look weak. International headlines would read about how defeat in Bakhmut, Ukraine, Zelensky goes to Putin for negotiations. And then Putin would go like, hey, I'll accept your total surrender. But like there'd be no waste. I think they should double, triple down. More guns, more ammunition, more blood. Um, if they lose in Bakhmut. And then if they win in Bakhmut, also more guns, ammunition, and blood.
Okay, so there are no ways you think that negotiations is worth having.
No, not with Putin as is.
Okay.
Putin can leave if he wants to leave. No, you laugh. That is it.
Yes,
That is
because
the line.
obviously that would be fucking awesome. Yes, but you and I know that there is a 0% chance that happens so long as he
Then
lives,
maybe he'll
at
kill
least.
himself, or maybe the country will
That
collapse.
would be nice.
Maybe there will be an invasion of the Kremlin by a bunch of political dissidents. Maybe the other oligarchs will see that their wealth and their international prestige is being crippled by Putin's bloodthirsty ego-mongering, and they'll have him ousted or killed. You know, things can play out in a number of ways, but I do not think there's any situation where negotiation with Russia in this state is a good road to take.
Well, in any state, it seems like your argument is. I mean, as long as Putin lives, but like, unless we are lucky and the media was right that he is dying from cancer or something, um, like you have to like exist in the situation as is, and um if the like a lot of the Western weapons is predicating on Ukraine winning as well. So, for example, if German leopards are failing to perform in Ukraine as they kind of did for Turkey and Rojava, that would be probably the end of leopards coming to Ukraine as well, because it also hurts Germany and their abilities to sell the tanks. So, like, if Ukraine fails Bakhmut, and of course I can't predict the future, this is just an analysis of the information like that I have at hand, it would be likely that Western support would start to dip as well.
Well, then they lose. I mean, if they lose, they lose. Either way, they lose. If the situation, like if you say, well, what happens if they lose? Then they lose.
But there's a difference in how much you lose from negotiations on right now, which they can get at least offensive. Like generally, like I don't want to say I don't know what the Russians will agree to, but you can see if you can get terms which you are willing to agree with.
I don't
But
I don't
in
agree.
negotiations,
There
you
are
don't
no
end.
terms that I think are acceptable. All the terms that Russia wants are just the ability to make Ukraine a vassal state. They make
Well,
Ukraine a vassal state either directly through conquest or indirectly through signing treaties that deny Ukraine the ability to have any autonomy. I don't believe there are any other negotiations that Russia will go for. So there are only two options for Ukraine here. They win completely or they lose completely. I don't think negotiations are worthwhile.
what do you think Ukraine should be willing to agree with in a negotiation? Like, at what terms, at what like level of like charitable terms would you agree with?
Crimea, and that's it. I think the Crimea was the portion of Ukraine that was most favorable to Russia, even when the country went independent. And trying to reconquer Crimea across those land bridges and actual bridges would be very difficult.
Yeah, be a bloodbath.
I think if they came to an agreement and it was Russia retreats entirely, Donbass, EU, NATO, the whole 9 yards for Ukraine, but Crimea remains a part of Russia, I would think that an acceptable term. Ultimately, it's up to Zelensky. If Zelensky wants to put forward, okay, we'll clear this and you can keep the Donbass as well, but we join the NATO and the EU or whatever else. That's up to him. But I think the Crimea would be an acceptable loss, as long as Ukraine was swiftly joining the EU and NATO and such later.
Yeah, and semi-autonomous region so semi-autonomy, like Donbass remains a part of Ukraine, but they have like sort of more liberty to do, for example, certain trade or
No,
something. No?
no. Areas are conquered by Russia or they are not. No part of Ukraine, no part of something that is not Russia will be dictated to by Russia.
Not dictated to, but they will have, for example, the fucking over talked about language laws or something like that.
No.
Like, hey, yo, you can speak Russian at restaurants or some shit.
You can do that in all of Ukraine.
Well, I don't remember the specific portions. Like, you can't speak Russian unless it's okay for the customer if you work at a restaurant. Was that the rule? I don't remember exactly.
No, the Russian language law was something they blew up to genocidal proportions, but it was like nothing. It was like Ukraine.
Yeah,
it was
obviously.
literally like if the U.S. made English like the national language.
Oh, it was beyond that, but I remember correctly, so I'm not going to argue because I might be wrong.
It made Ukrainian compulsory in a bunch of spheres of public life. Basically, like if you were going to do customer service work or you going to teach or whatever else, you had to be able to speak Ukrainian. I don't
Yeah,
agree
yeah.
with the
To
law,
speak
by the way.
frankly.
But anyway, no, I would not
No,
accept an
I
autonomous region.
assume not. Yeah, because the thing, like, yeah, I guess in the end, this we are sort of at an impasse as we don't seem to be able to agree about exactly how much Russia is willing to give in a negotiation.
I'm just going by
But
what they've said.
yeah, but what they say as a start of negotiations has never been what a negotiation ends with,
Well,
right? Unless it's an unconditional surrender,
well,
which Russia won't
if
do.
Russia is so concerned, then maybe it should adjust its negotiation strategy. I mean, like, why do we give them
Yeah.
no autonomy? It's like, okay, well, they're a force of nature, and like they're, like, well,
No, they're evil.
well,
I mean,
yes, but
yes,
they're also
they're fascist.
they have autonomy, and if their negotiation strategy is, haha, we won't have any conversation unless it involves you becoming our bitch, they don't really have a right to get offended if Zelensky doesn't want to entertain that conversation.
No, I mean, I don't give a fuck if Russia's offended. They can be offended as they want. Like, I don't think Ukraine should go into negotiations to save Russia, right? Russia isn't the one being bombed. I think they should go into negotiations in order to save Ukraine. And I think that um, entering negotiations will lead to um, a lot less harm. And I also think that if Ukraine managed to get the NATO countries to end the sanctions, they could probably get a pretty favorable term in order for Ukraine. Like
I don't.
Putin can
I
go home and say, "Hey, we left Ukraine, but we
if
won because the sanctions are gone," or
he
some
would
bullshit
just
like that.
invade Ukraine again. Um, I don't
Yeah,
think.
but in that
Exactly.
situation, you would have NATO troops ready, or at least a fuck ton of equipment, right?
Well,
I
we
don't
already
think
have
that
NATO troops right next to Ukraine. We have them in Poland. We didn't respond this time. Why would we respond
true.
next time?
No, but I mean, for example, lot more like the last time Ukraine started with javelins, which were highly effective, but weren't able to mount a counterattack. Later, when they got motorized vehicles, they were able to do that. I think that they should probably get, like, if they negotiate a peace, they should then have to make with terms that makes them able to defend themselves for later. But
I just don't know. I don't think that's even remotely viable. So we engage in we make concessions and we engage in appeasement as a way of deterring Russia from engaging in future conflict when all of the prerequisites that Russia requires from Ukraine for these negotiations are ones that would make future conflict for Russia way easier. Russia would never, like, on a fundamental level, because I feel like we're going in circles at this point, so we should probably just end this.
yeah,
But
I agree.
on a fundamental level, I think you think that Putin is a rational actor, and I think that's where we disagree. I think that,
I guess that's true.
like a bunch, as is very often the case, I think that he's a power hungry tyrant, and while
Yeah.
authoritarian countries often act out of self-interest, like China often does, I don't think he does. um I think that he's just bloodthirsty and ego driven, and I think that there's really no way out of this without him being ousted in some fashion. And the world where we surrender, or where Ukraine surrenders or whatever, brings us farther away from that outcome than the world where they continue to fight. Because I don't think there is a situation where Ukraine can bid for its peace without just militarily crushing Russia. I think that's the only road for them to survive.
Uh, well, okay. Yeah, I guess some of our disagreements is like things that are hard to like actually like factually determine. But keep in mind, I never argued for Ukraine to surrender. Only negotiations which they themselves would be willing to agree on, but they should try to enter negotiations. But yeah, I guess we sort of went at an impasse. While I don't think your arguments are super bad, I think that I think um, I just think basically the difference is what we think Ukraine will look like after the war, and the amount of rationality that exists left in Putin's mind is also sort of what we disagree on.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how things play out. All the same,
Yeah, for sure.
I enjoy the conversation very much. I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, me too a lot. And by the way, I really appreciate your advocacy. It's I started watching YouTube politics in like 2015 or something, and it was a nice time when a or anarchist finally entered the space.
And anarcho-nativists and the like. Well, we'll see how things go.
Anarcho-native.
We'll see how things go in Bakhmut, okay?
Oh,
We'll see how many Russian heads get stacked up. All the same,
yeah.
I appreciate the conversation. Thank you for coming on.
Me too, and thank you for advocacy. Have a good one.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, that's our Ukraine war conversation quota for like a good solid 2 months. Whew. I think it's mostly a rational actor theory thing, you know? It's the idea of like no matter how bad things may seem, like people are always acting in what they perceive to be the best interest of their country. So there's always like an underlying logic, and I disagree. I think that in a lot of ways that belief can actually lead to a lot of apologia, because when bad leaders do bad things, you have to sit back and kind of wring your hands and go like, oh, okay, you know, like the Iraq War, right? I don't think people apply that to the Iraq War or like Cheney and Bush or whatever. Like, you know, even the most cynical leftists will usually acknowledge that, you know, you can talk about no-bid government contracts and Halliburton or whatever, but in terms of to the benefit of the country, the Iraq War most certainly was not. It didn't benefit the country. It was just an enormous waste of human life and of money, you know? But if someone was like, well, I disagree with the Iraq War, and you were like, well, you know, there's a reason. He wasn't defending Putin, by the way, guys. He wasn't like pro-Putin or anything. It's the belief that basically like he's a force of nature who's acting in accordance with what he believes to be the best interests of his country, and therefore like you can't do anything about that. So you have to change the factors you can control. But I don't think negotiations will lead to anything, and I think the only way forward really is basically Putin being out of power. So, excuse me. Okay, I'm turning TTS on. We'll read all the donos that weren't TTS'd at the end of stream. Okay. I agree, Tequila Sunset. Oh wait, we gotta up the volume. No.
I get being concerned for Ukraine's future of being a part of America's long list of exploited countries, but I cannot stand behind America bad, let Russia win. SHT.
Yeah, I agree. Fuck, we can't up the volume for this. It doesn't let you during cutscenes. God damn it! Just read the subtitles. I'll do this. I'll do the subtitles. All right, come on. Okay. Ah, Ashley. Leon. Your soul requires cleansing. Oh. Metal creaking noises. Come, child. Ashley, run! Okay. Nice. Now we can turn the volume up. And I get to run while being at, like, 0 health. Cool. We can hear it? Well, now you can hear it more. Shut up. Nice.
Hurry!
Oh, I'm running at half speed.
Why is it so hard to admit the only rational conclusion to the war is the conquest of Moscow by Ukrainian forces and the renaming of Russia to Greater Ukraine?
That's true. I agree with that. One day. Mendez won't be affected by any of your attacks. It's better to just run away. But we fight him later. Okay, I feel like it's a bit too loud. Turn that down one more. Okay, having some health would probably help. What happened to Clarence Thomas? Shut up!
Did you know about 66% of USPS rural letter carriers received massive pay cuts and no one is talking about it?
I think I heard about that. Pretty bad, yeah. Did Clarence Thomas kick the bucket? No, he's super corrupt. If you're that desperate to hear about it at this very moment, you can just Google it. I want to play this now. Fuck you. Makes sense, Exel. I really need to start parrying. I like never parry.
You promised Clarence Thomas if you don't do it now it's literally fascism. That's what Mark said in Capital. Trust me, I read it.
That's probably true.
Alright. Come on.
Okay. Send help. Movers come Monday morning and I'm not packed. Too much to do, too little me.
Go. Stop watching. Go do your work.
Did you know that video game segments are way better than Clarence Thomas segments?
Requires cleansing.
That's so true. Unironically.
Come, child. Ashley, run!
You forgot about Clarence Thomas.
No, I didn't.
Hurry!
I just mentioned it.
Don't worry about them.
Ashley, where the
So
fuck
let
are...
me get
Okay.
this straight, Russia bad?
Yeah, that's the long and short of it. Don't hit me, okay? Oh, fuck.
Ashley!
Ashley. The bridge.
I love you.
Love you too. Wait, why'd she say the bridge? What the fuck was... Okay, wait, hold on.
Thank you for providing entertainment while I troubleshoot a 3D printer.
Hurry!
That sounds awful. What's in here? Flash grenade. Hi. All my hits are doing way more damage. Oh.
5 Nights at Vaush's is coming. You cannot stop it. The assets have been made, the map finished, the updates are daily. And the website and subreddit are up.
That's true. Can't wait to watch the movie.
Clarence Thomas. That's it. That's the dono.
Thank you. It's the new Corbin segment.
Hurry! One down.
Oh my god, I just got headshot. I don't understand how Ashley fucking moves, man.
How has Leon not realized in his 2 interactions with Bitors Mendez that he has been unable to harm him? He tried knifing a dude he already got giga-gapped by.
Well, I think he just did it reflexively as he turned around. I wish I had some health to heal with. That'd be great. Just run. I want the flash grenade. What? Oh. No. Wait, is that it? What? Wait, where did he just jump from? Wait, no, excuse me, game. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that in the picking up Ashley animation, he also teleported to the edge of a bottomless cliff. What? Oh, okay. All right, well, so, okay, sure.
Who's Clarence Thomas?
He's a boss in Resident Evil.
Hurry!
Ashley, shut up.
Use your fucking herbs, dingbat.
No.
Next. Don't worry about them.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry about those herbs. Oh. Yeah, that'll take my health away. Damn you, just fucking heal. But I don't like using green herbs.
I think chat would like to hear more about Clarence Thomas's extended warranty.
I hope he doesn't have an extended warranty. Fuck that guy.
Hurry!
Come. Oh!
Don't worry about them.
Oh, she's gonna turn... Whoa, whoa, whoa! Okay.
Hey Vaush, when will the material conditions be correct for Clemens Thompson?
Probably not when I'm... Oh, that's why she said the bridge.
This way.
Yeah, this way. Oh! Whoa!
Okay.
Next
Debate
stream.
George Soros.
We need to go.
Why? He's my ally. Oh!
You gotta be kidding me.
You gotta be kidding. You gotta be joking me.
They're running.
Leon got forked.
I think they're both about to be forked. Close one.
Hey Vaush, here to be a pest again. Did you see my DM about that super anti-democratic bill in the MT legislature?
No, I didn't. I'll see soon. I just wanted to have a second to relax. I'm sorry for my crime.
Mix
Okay.
ammonia with bleach to make a more powerful cleaning
You're the one
solution.
That's true. Don't actually do that,
We
guys.
see him again. You run.
What about you?
I'll do my job.
Man, she's really cute. Look at her little, like, huff puff animation, dude. Her hand is trembling. Look, they really made her cute, man. Look, her hand's trembling. Did I not die next time? I did not die this time. She's 20? Yeah, she's 20!
Clarence Thomas is the ultimate reboss with a crazy support boss in his former cult leader following wife.
True. True, yeah, he literally has ties to a cult. Okay, I think I know why I like her. She's literally an anime girl in a realistic art style. Like, this game is a realistic appearance. People look like people. But the way she's designed and animated reminds me a lot of, like an animated fucking cartoon girl or whatever. It's cute. Very endearing. Make her a mouse? Yeah, I wish. She's literally me, yeah.
Take a look. Something's bound to catch your eye.
Something's bound to
Well,
catch
no.
your eye.
Wield him. What can I do you?
Okay. Probably gonna take a damage
Your
upgrade.
weapons
Vaush
are
thinks
in
women
good
exhausted
hands,
and on the
man.
run are
I'll
cute.
see.
Some weird champ stuff Vaush SMH.
Yeah, girls who are exhausted and their faces are red and they're huffing and puffing and they're breathing heavily and their chest is heaving. Yeah, I think that's kind of cute, you know?
I can't believe Clarence Thomas
That's good
tweeted that
work,
Raya
if
the
I
Last
do
Dragon
say
has
so
thematic
myself.
similarities to Avatar. He'll never recover.
It's over. It's over for him.
Knife needs care.
Clarence
every
Thomas
once in a
has written
while.
a dissent
Could
building
be
the legal
difference
framework for you to
between
use the
life
green
and death.
herbs. His wife grew them. You may want to consider it.
Listen, we will find a red herb soon, okay? We will find one soon. Okay, wait.
Anything else I can help you with?
Oh, we could buy a first aid spray.
What you see is what I've got.
Fuck, is that worth? What can we trade for? Oh!
He's killing me.
We need someone to mod
Years haven't
Mosley
been
into the
kind
game
to
with the
us,
correct
I
proportions.
That's true.
Good instinct,
Here,
stranger.
we'll buy these. Here, let's see what I can sell. Hold on. I'm sure there's already a Moushley mod.
I'm
Oh my
pretty sure
God.
that Guy's point with the T-54s was pointless as it would show a Russia's depleted artillery due to worn barrels or counter battery anyway.
I think he's just a doomer and we just need to give him hope. That's what I think, okay? That's what I think.
Turkey just drone-striked a U.S. convoy in an Iraqi airport to try and kill a YPG commander, and U.S. officials have already confirmed it, but no one was killed.
Dude, what? Turkey's going to get fucking ousted from NATO if it keeps this shit up. Jesus Christ.
I can't believe that Clarence Thomas said live on stream that the U.S. should glass Israel and got himself Twitch banned.
That's true. That was so long ago.
I need to know if you Vaush ship Bowser and Luigi.
No, Luigi is monogamous for Daisy. Fuck Daisy? I'm sure he does.
Welcome. What can I interest you in?
Done with the way shrine key. Sorry about that quiet answer. Damn, the turkey shit's pretty wild.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna take a damage upgrade for the rifle and the shotgun.
See how that feels, mate. A fella like yourself should notice the difference right away. Come back anytime.
I'm not healing. What about Mario? I've seen people painting him as a cuck. Everyone paints Mario as a cuck because everyone says that Bowser's railing Peach. Which he is.
But does Vaush the Swooshy Wooshy have Apple Care extended warranty? iPhone Moshi Moshi, no Satoshi? Is it a red Yoshi, Lychee, or Peachy? Which one?
That was really satisfying to listen to.
Be careful.
No.
Luigi is the bottom in his
Oh,
relationship
fuck.
with Daisy.
Guys, I think I know what this building is for. Also, that's true. I'm going for it.
I got some money and wanted to buy either Dark Souls 1 and 2, or instead I could get Elden Ring. What's your thoughts, since you autism hard for both?
If you can only get one of those two of that set, I would go for Elden Ring personally. But I think that eventually you should try to get all of them. Maybe if you value, like, getting into a series at its beginnings to appreciate how it develops, I would suggest Dark Souls 1 and 2. If that makes sense. If you really want to get into Souls games and From Software and the value of the franchise, I think that DS1 and 2 are awesome and so worth your time. But if you're just like, you know, what's fun, I want to give it a try, you know, Elden Ring is more accessible and has more content for its price. So there's actually a good argument to be made for either, depending on your, you know, your preferences. Okay, there. We fully healed, guys. We found the red herb. Now we have, like, no health for the actual boss fight. Let me save again. Or Demon Souls. I don't think you have to start on Demon Souls. Demon Souls is great, don't get me wrong. I don't think you have to start on it, though. Like, you can start with DS1. And I think, you know, I don't think you're a poser or whatever. Alright, get it started. Yep! Man!
If you can only afford one from software game, it has to be Metal Wolf Chaos.
Where's my red 9?
What other game can you play as the president in a mecha?
We really do have to play that on stream.
Your body to the will of our God.
Yeah, do not approach me! You do not approach a Leon like that!
Hit or miss, I guess they never miss, huh? You got a boyfriend, I bet he doesn't kiss ya. Mua.
True.
Son of a bitch. Ashley, run!
Knock knock. Have you heard of the good word of the pundit?
We kept the hasta luego. I have, actually, Tiger Fox King.
I thank you for your gift.
There we go.
You want to get ugly? Let's get ugly.
You do not approach me! He is still approaching me. Yep.
Breaking news. Clarence Thomas and Jeremy Corbyn have officially started a podcast called The Forgotten Segment.
For a second, I thought you were being serious there. I mean, evade? Evade, huh?
Without early marketing campaigns for cigarettes, we would not have the Pokemon trading card game or credit card rewards points. You could buy a Saint Bernard then.
Oh.
I just started playing God of War 2018. It's really good. Never thought I'd feel empathy for Kratos of all people. He just trying to be a good dad.
He's done some pretty... I was wondering what he was doing.
I was really disappointed with the transformation in this cutscene. He just emerges from the fire.
I actually agree.
Extending out. Lazy.
Oh, I actually agree.
Just spent $90 on clothes. Women be shopping gender affirmation.
True. Don't worry, I've spent more. I agree on STXR. It's more involved in the original, I think. Oh, shit.
Guess your tap dancing days are over.
What the fuck, Leon? Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Whoa. Ah. Oh, that was death. Holy shit. Okay, I need the rifle for that part. Yeah, he has a fucking ranged attack now. Oh my god. Don't worry, Alice Payne. I've spent far more than $90 on clothes recently. I recently got a couple of bomber jacket windbreakers with big anime decals that I'm quite fond of. Soy, 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 soy. Okay, we'll save the shotgun blast for when he falls over. Okay. Yeah, okay. This grab doesn't do much damage. Oh, I thought I got that. Okay, I don't really know how you're supposed to evade stuff. Here, wait, let me just try to evade stuff. Okay. What's the kill animation for this one? Okay.
Vaush, I need you to tell me how to feel about a blatant breach of judicial ethics by a known corrupt judge in a corrupt institution.
I feel like I've been doing too much news stuff lately. I really have to start responding to the people who ask me to debate in my Twitter and email DMs. Oh shit, Knock, thank you.
Hey, thanks for the amazing work that you've done. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, that's very kind of you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't mind covering news. I just mind it when I feel like...
He really gives MAGA supporter seeing Bud Light new can vibes.
Who? Oh, him. Yeah, him. Yeah, for me, it's like... I don't mind covering news. The thing that I mind is when the stuff that I have to say about the news is the same as, like, what everyone else would say. Does that make sense? Like... It's the Clarence Thomas thing, the reason it's been on the back of the Garter for 2 streams now isn't because it's not important. It's just you could go to anyone to hear it, like literally mainstream news channels, and I'll say the same thing as everyone else. The exact same thing. There's nothing new for me to say on that. I have plenty to say on lots of stuff, you know, just... Oh, hey.
That was sarcastic, BTW. Like, do you really need to walk anyone through this?
Oh, well, I mean, I like... Why is that window open? I could have run through that window? I like, you know, being able to provide my thoughts.
Vaush, do you think what the Earth Liberation Front is cool and correct?
Ow, fuck. Didn't think. I would need to be reminded what they do. Okay.
You still refuse to debate me over the efficaciousness of gifting subscriptions on Vaush.gg.
One day. Ow, okay. Okay, wait. Hold on, just kill me. Just, hold on, just kill me. We're gonna fight this properly, okay? You guys distracted me, it doesn't count. Eh. Just kill me. Kill me. Eh. Oh, you just do grabs down here, basically.
I may be able to meet and talk to Justin Jones through someone who worked on his campaign. I am super hyped.
Tell him to watch Vaush.gg and subscribe, and also contact me on my email. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go up there and we're gonna take this seriously with the... Why am I here? Wasn't I at the thing before? Okay. Okay.
Did you play any of the old Resident Evil games with the tank control?
I did not, no.
Maybe the RE1 remake?
They were a bit, before my time. Ooh.
Started rewatching Breaking Bad, and good God, Walt is so horrible to Skylar.
Yep. He really is. Oh. Oh! Oh, dude! Dude!
Vaush, maybe try looking into eyes and kissing him passionately? You might win then.
Maybe. Let me up.
I met someone today who was introduced to the Humanist Report through your content and not in the reverse order.
Nice! Love to hear about stories like that. Okay, we're using a lot of...
I've never played these games, but it seems these residents really are evil. 4. Getting the rest of my money's worth out of this message, LOL.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I would rather hear you talk about the comments XQC made about OnlyFans over Clarence Thomas, to be honest.
I feel like I'd have more to say on that subject, if anything. Sorry, the cutscenes are pretty loud. But yeah, I agree. You know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I will talk about that clip. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, rifle. When did I get down here? Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. Oh. Oh. Okay, I got one. Whoops. Didn't think that was on the table. Okay. Whoa! What do I do about that? I don't think the rifle's a good choice here.
How have none of your 3 cats started an OnlyFans? Freeloaders.
True. Okay. Okay, the rifle's not good. The rifle's not good at all. We need the pistol for that. If we had the TMP, that would actually be a really good time for it, because we want to be able to snipe the barrels quickly. Okay, that's fine. We did really good up till that point. Did we even get hit once before the second phase? Oh, well, here's a hit.
Opinions on Corpse Party?
I'm afraid I don't know what that is, but it sounds scary. Ooh. Hey, hey. Hey! Oh, I wanna drop him from above so I can do the drop attack. Ooh! Ooh! Drop? Yes! Okay, we're gonna finish him from here, because last time we had, like, no health left. What was that? What attack even is that? Maybe we should have gone back up. We should have gone back up! Japanese RPG horror game? I'm afraid I haven't played it. I feel like the name's familiar, though. Oh, yeah, nope. It ends again. Okay, we're not staying down. It got an anime? Well, to be fair, anime adaptations of anything tend to be pretty bad, so fucking... Anime originals are, like, some of the fucking apexes of the genre, and then, like, anime adaptations are consistently dog shit, so whatever. Excuse me.
I can't believe Clarence Thomas would call someone nanners and describe their behavior as lunacy.
True! Cancelled. Judicial misconduct, huh? Up, 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 up. Oh, 30 handgun ammo. Holy shit. I better be able to loot this room after the fight is done. Peter. Sorry.
That had to have done something.
To think you could be
Whoa! I was climbing! Cheat! 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 Anti-cheat!
we share the same blood. Resist.
That's a Putin argument. I am out of knife. That's a problem. Yep, that is the consequence. Alright. Hi. Oh, no knife, right.
Guess your tap dancing days are over.
God, you're so lame. Whoa, okay.
Have you ever had your player characters fight a dragon in Dungeons and Dragons before? Which one or ones if so?
Shit! Yeah, a couple of dragons. God damn it. Yeah, a couple of dragons. I think the most recent one, there was a blue dragon that was like the source of a blizzard. Why were you aiming center mass? Because my aim isn't that good. Shoot the barrel? Yeah, I sucked. I suck. Guys, this is important. Do I get to loot the building after I kill him, or do I run out because the building's on fire?
North Dakota GOP senators voted to increase their own meal reimbursements.
Yes, you get
10
to?
days
Okay.
after voting against a bill to expand free school lunches for poor students.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Ontologically evil.
Should've known you were
Ow! Up, 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 up. Yeah, more evades. Those don't cost any knife. No. We talked about this. No. Oh boy. There's a kitchen knife right next to me. Here, new strat. Ah, see, he hates that. He hates that.
That had to have done something.
Yeah. Man. That really grinds his gears.
What kind of controller are you using when playing this early 2000s video game Remake?
Oh, I have a Logitech controller I use for most things. Just a shitty wired one. Nothing fancy. Oh, he hated this. He's angry. He's molding so hard right now.
Guess your tap dancing days are over.
Why am I on fire? Oh my god, I just spent that whole time being on fire. All right, good. I needed the handicap. Pick up the barrels. Those aren't barrels. Come on, barrels. Barrels! It was like PewDiePie. That's also not... Okay, well you missed anyway, so... Yeah, I'm ready. No! Fuck off! Oh, shit. Oh, I was really hoping I was out of range. Okay, fine, I'll heal. If you insist. Okay, yep. Okay.
I pooped on your lawn and there's nothing you can do about it.
No! You're not dead? Dude! Okay. One bullet!
I thought you and TJ Kirk were cool. Never thought you'd have to fight his final form like this.
Yeah, TJ Kirk's weight loss has been going really well, though. Oh. Jarring.
Have you had your player characters fight a Dungeons and Dragons before? Which 101s if so?
They're currently in a dungeon. Did we see that really? We couldn't have done that?
Leon! Quick! This place is coming down!
Just beat the 3rd gym in my Pokemon Radical Red Nuzlocke after 8 resets. I feel so
Dude,
accomplished.
Well
Thank you
done.
for the background entertainment, Vaush.
You coming?
Seriously, well done.
Leon!
Where is he? Let me loot! Where is he going? Dude, there's so much shit in here. Oh my god. Fuck yes. There's nothing more satisfying.
Come on, it's dangerous!
There's nothing more satisfying than doing a Resident Evil boss and not picking up any of the loot till after.
I recently hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
When do I get the Vaush
Give my
Twitter
regards
follow
to your
SMH?
Well,
Also,
I've-
have you seen the Dungeons and Dragons movie? It's great.
I have not, but I want to. I follow based on Twitter followers, motherfucker. Also, congratulations. Look forward to your yellow,
Have you
your
ever had your
silver...
dungeons fight your dragons
black.
in one of your campaigns?
I think yes, Sake. We've had some pretty wild campaigns. Aww, she's so cute.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Friends! And annoying? I don't find her annoying at all here, by the way. I am, listen, okay, I am an Ashley stan. If Ashley has 1,000,000 stans, I am one of them. If she has 1, I am that one. If she has 0, I am dead. Okay, our knife is broken. We have to fix that. Okay, alright. That's already equipped. Do we want to craft anything? Probably.
Have you had your Warhammer fight your 40k yet?
It's the plot of many of those books. She's 20 in the remake. Apparently she's 20 always. She was always 20. I didn't realize this. We have 51 pistol shots. We need shotgun ammo. We'll go with that, I guess. Yeah.
Fire's bound to catch their attention. Let's keep moving.
I'm still not gonna heal.
I'm not gonna turn into one of them, right?
I won't let that happen. I promise.
Why is the dialogue so quiet when the, like, cutscenes were super loud? The voice volume is up max. That's kind of annoying.
Is Leon saving himself for Ada though?
Oh, yeah, I don't ship them. I just think they're friends. I'm not shipping Ashley and Leon at all. Leon craves the A-Dussy. Oh, there's the thing back here. Ah!
Is saving yourself for Ada the Wong decision?
I personally am not an Ada stand, okay? She's the whole, like, spooky, I know more than you, but I won't tell you anything type of bitch, okay? That's not my vibe.
Come on.
Wait, are we at the castle already? Is that the point where this happens? It is! Yeah, the castle is after you defeat the big boy.
What's going on?
Well, at least you don't have to worry about being followed.
Why would you think that a drawbridge closing after you is a good thing? Like, yeah, now you're trapped. He's probably just being smug. Wow, 12? Oh, never mind. 80%. Oh, we're getting worse.
Vaush, did you shit my pants? There's no one else around and there's a gooey stinky mess in my pants. It's the only logical explanation.
Don't make me regret turning TTS on.
Hola, Luis here.
Hi.
Around.
Well, I wanted to go home, but Ashley just had to see this castle first.
Perfect, because I have a present I want to give you. Medicine that will help to suppress the progress of your problem.
Where do we go?
Let's see. Come to the courtyard inside of the castle. We can
Ashley is fucking cute. I want her to make me tea and then cuddle me while we watch a Vaush stream.
Oh, yeah, for sure she'd be a Vaush viewer. I'm just saying that.
meet up there. Ciao.
All right, Ashley. Luis just said.
I got it. Guess we better get going.
Oh, I should have shot the ravens.
I have some new goods that might interest you.
Yeah?
Welcome. Got some rare things on sale, stranger.
When are you
All
buying
my
a second
wares are in
beard brush so you
tip-top
can live the
shape,
turning red
I
meme?
assure you.
True. Oh, shit.
Leon must save himself for Claire, to carry on the Redfield family bloodline.
Okay, we're not getting the blacktail. I have decided that the Red 9 is going to be our pistol for this playthrough. However, the Stingray and the Broken Butterfly I want. We have to get the Broken Butterfly because it's a special offer right now, and we get the ammo recipe for free. That's just too good.
Anything else I can help you with? Knife needs care, everyone.
Yeah, I know.
Could be the difference between luck. Good luck to you, stranger.
Mendez's False Eye. That's all we can sell right now,
A
though.
deal well struck. Will that be all, then?
And what are we trading? Okay. Treasure Map Castle is a 100
What's that?
exclusive
How
upgrade
have we procured these curiosities?
that grants access to a weapon's exclusive upgrade regardless of the weapon's level. Oh, this will give us a 50% damage increase on our pistol. We need that. We'll save for it.
Have any of your cats ever tried to groom your beard or hair? Like just after a meal, perhaps?
You mean like licking it? There have been a couple of times that they've like licked my beard, like a dog would, kind of.
Everyone dogging on
Gotta
Ada's
select
bad voice
combat
acting have never played any
anytime.
original RE games, lol.
Does she have bad voice acting? I've only heard her once so far. Okay. We need to clear this shit up, okay? This is unacceptable. We need to get the Broken Butterfly. Okay, first thing we do, we load the shotgun.
Vaush, one horse-shaped object, and Ashley, equals Vaush's dream scenario.
That's true. That's pretty true. Okay. The voice actress for Ada Wong got so much hate from nerds that she shut her social media down. Dude, what the fuck? That's fucking awful. Yeah, fucking gamers. Alright, we desperately need another attached case.
Welcome.
Welcome. Well, we're gonna get the broken butterfly.
That cash it. I see you have an eye for things. Gun's not just about shooting, it's about reloading. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Right, it takes a while to reload.
Go on, take this as well. Free of charge. Well then, happy cooking. Wield it.
What is he cooking? Okay. Guys, the broken butterfly, is this the only Magnum that we get? Or is there still a Killer 7 in the game? The Killer 7, like 1911 or whatever it was. There's another Maggie? Okay, gotcha. There is another. Alright. Killer 7 was an awesome game. Yeah, I still haven't played it. I really need to. Okay.
Killed now.
Nice. Okay. Now we have the treasure map. We want to save up for a lot of stuff. We're up savers is what we are. Merchant, there's something right behind you.
Have you heard of the breakthrough in mathematics, which was the discovery of an aperiodic monotile, also known as an Einstein?
I have no idea what you're talking about. But I agree with you completely.
It's worth it to replace the existing rifle for the Stingray, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the Stingray is the last rifle that you get that serves that I want, at least. So that I think that'll be the last rifle we get. Like, I'll fully upgrade that one. Huh? Snake? Thought I heard a fucking snake. Snake! Still haven't played the Metal Gear games. I'm a poser. Oh.
What are they?
Keep your voice down.
You know what we should do? We should just leave Ashley with the merchant, who's apparently invulnerable in teleports. What the fuck is going on over here? Oh. What? Wow. They sure updated the appearance of that dude. Okay. Well. Pass below hanging enemies at your own risk. Thanks.
Did they ever explain what the cult wants Ashley for?
Keep your voice down.
Yeah, don't they want to, like... They want her to be infected, and then for her to be brought back... actually, I completely forget. To infect the president? Oh, okay. I have not seen that, Samusco. Boot knife? What is a boot knife? Is that just a better temporary knife? I think it is. It's probably a better temporary knife.
Vaush, what's the strongest insult you can come up with? Here's mine. I hope a dog pisses on your unmarked grave. It silenced a transphobe I was debating.
You are a Vaush viewer. You donated to Vaush. This usually really gets people to reflect. You know? No! How dare you! Yeah, true. Hey, whatever silences transphobes, right? Go ahead, ball. We better still have the cannon. Oh. I know what that word means. Okay. Oh, shit. Hold on. Ashley, it's a firing gallery up there. Hold on. We have a specific weapon for this. Muerte.
Spread out.
No prob.
Oh. Hey. Whoa. Okay, we're doing this shooting gallery style.
Imagine if Trump was president during the events of RE4.
Keep coming.
Salazar gave me La Plaga, said it would make me even more tremendous.
Well, wait,
I
who...
like him. He
would-
says good things.
Yeah, what if Leon was trying to rescue Baron Trump? Oh, shit. He's, like, super tall. For novices, original first, the remake first? Of this? They're very similar. They're not exactly the same, though. That's up to you. If you want to experience... Like, they're both amazing. If you want to experience both,
I
start
told
with the
you
original.
you were a terrorist, Vaush. The manifesto proved it. Speaking of which, I am working on a 5th Demon Mama manifesto. Can you send me any material?
Yeah, one time I went and got a bite to eat with Demon Mama, and she let me
How's
pay
knife
for the meal.
combat in this so far? Think a knife-only run might be doable in this game for, you know, the pros?
No, because the knife breaks. You wouldn't have an... I mean, you could, like, skip a bunch of enemies, I guess. Yeah, probably. Speedrunners can do lots of crazy stuff. Probably already is a knife-only run on YouTube. Oh, come on, dude. Quit being a... fucking...
No!
Come on. Got... Okay. God, I'm Okay. I wasn't loaded! Dude, the dead zone is so wide.
Hi, Vaush S. Memes says hi.
Hi.
All right.
In your honest opinion, is Leon Kennedy based on Jean-Claude Van Damme, Christian Slater, or Jean Reno from Leon the Professional?
I don't actually know. I don't think I've seen a single Jean-Claude Van Damme film.
In B4 we find out that Baron isn't Melania's son, but Ivanka's son with Donald.
God, Donald wishes.
While building the pharaoh Ramses III's tomb, workers grew upset about their treatment. Management threw a big lunch, so workers so occupied the Valley of Kings.
True. What? Yeah, very low range flaming catapults that are apparently meant to siege their own fortifications from the inside. God, this game is so goofy.
Long-time watcher, first-time dono. Had a dream where you got us kicked out of a Tim Hortons because the cashier was a Trump simp and you made fun of her so bad.
That could track at a Tim Hortons. Doesn't Tim Hortons mostly serve truckers? Oh. That was easy. Tim Hortons serves everyone. A place of the proletariat, to be sure.
Do you think after a certain amount of deaths Ashley's scream becomes less dramatic, like, oh no, Leon is dead, whatever will I do? Then she casually walks away.
Well, it's always going to seem like that after enough times brushing up against the death systems in a game, you know? Nothing stays harrowing forever. Even really effective survival horror games. Leon. What? When did someone get behind me? Okay, now stand. What? Okay. Shoot her? That was good.
Okay.
Burger King bought Tim Hortons? I didn't know that. Tim Hortons is a Canadian thing, huh? Man, American cultural hegemony. Yeah, from where? That?
Pav. Leon is Ukraine looking at the new Russian fleet of tanks.
True. Okay. Ashley?
Stick close.
Hey.
Where am I? Oh, okay. I don't think we're gonna get a beat on them from this angle. Thankfully, it really is a very low-range catapult.
If you had to have one of these X-Men mutant powers, which would you rather have? Laser beam eyes like Cyclops or tossing fireworks from hands like Jubilee?
Definitely fireworks. You know Cyclops can't, like, live without his visor, right? Without Cyclops' visor, he just lasers everything in front of him. Fireworks sounds awesome compared to that. Man, they're very consistent. Okay, so I cannot shoot them without having to move forward. Okay.
Okay, it's all right.
Okay.
Okay. We're fine. That's because Cyclops has a head injury? Is that true? If he didn't have a head injury, you're telling me that he would, Ow! Oh. Okay, here. Alright, good hustle.
You alright?
Yeah, no big deal.
She's so nice.
Won't open.
What? Where's the next one? Oh. What? If that's true about Cyclops, I like him a lot. Yeah, I always wondered how he wasn't, like, lasering his mom when he was Zero or whatever, you know?
Ashley!
Oh. Wow, that fucking sucks. Here, I have to piss anyway. Good luck, Leon. Wait, she gets up on her own?
Supreme Court corruption is bad and all, but I really hate in Diablo 2 when the summoner is in the very last place I check in the arcane sank. I mean, Christ.
Yeah, that sucks so much. Hey, who here... Oh, that's where it hit? Who here has, played the Diablo 4 beta? Did it feel good? Did it feel like they might be turning the direction in a... like, the series in a positive direction? Are you kidding? Just kill me. I was trying to reset. I didn't think I'd come back being alive. Thank you. It felt like simple PoE, which can be a good or a bad thing. I actually think that PoE's complexity is fake and retarded. Oh, we're all the way back here? Okay. Nice. Is Ashley a small bean? Probably. But it feels better than D3? Well, that's good. PoE skill tree is dumb as fuck. Yeah, it's pretty dumb. It's like, it's fake complexity. There's like a bajillion options, and 99.999% of them are empirically, objectively wrong, and everyone just like checks online for builds. Or they experiment. But experimentation isn't always good when experimentation is like, okay, let me like check the 80,000 consecutive paths in this tree I can do to optimize the one spell I'm trying to do the most damage on. But like almost everyone just does look up a build, you know. The complexity doesn't help.
I guess this is their idea of a warm welcome.
Thank you, Leon. I think that Diablo 3's skill customization system was actually... Fuck. Was actually pretty great, personally. I think it was really good. Oh, that's right. Hey, can you... Can you... Ashley...
Leave me alone. Put me down.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Boy, these two sure are resilient. No. I didn't play Grim Dawn, Billodago. Do you think it was good? There's less focus on loot in D4 than in D3. Thank God! Do you remember Torchlight? I remember, I just didn't really care for it.
Hang on.
What's wrong with loot? Dude, D3 and also PoE is like insane, man. Okay, first of all, the end game loot system for D3 was retarded at launch and never got that much better. It got better, but not that much better. And moreover, like, I really feel like... Oh, right. Oh, boy. Okay. I really feel like the main enjoyment that you get from a game should always be the satisfaction of playing it. I always think that should be, like, the #1 good feel. And Diablo 3 and action RPGs broadly have really leaned into the, like, fuck how the game actually feels. Let's just have it be a shallow, like, mechanical membrane that you permeate to get at the real fun, which is seeing a billion pieces of loot drop from every guy you kill. And wait, you do fire here? Wait, no. No. What?
You okay?
Yeah.
I peed while waiting here. Stupid. Okay, dog, what? No, okay, just fucking kill me, bro. Do it. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me. Heal? No. Okay, but the loot is cool, it just needs more than that? Yeah, I'm not saying the loot is bad, I'm saying it needs to have less of an emphasis on loot. You guys realize that, like, games like Diablo and Path of Exile and stuff are basically gacha games, right? The only difference is that instead of making you pay money, oftentimes they just gate you through time. But fundamentally, it's the same, where you have, like, daily or weekly or season bids on, like, an unimaginably large loot table that you get to run through. And the game is fine, maybe? But it's mostly just about, like, what guides you through the loot grind. Yes, PoE means Path of Exile. What did you think of it? I can't believe her put her hands up tactic worked. Oh, that's nice, nice sword. No more. P. Nice music.
I guess this is their idea of a warm welcome.
Thanks, Leon. What build do you play in PoE, if you recall? It was like Lightning Spark or some shit. Having 4 abilities, you could... Oh, right, I keep forgetting. Oh, you can... Oh! Oh, you never have to shoot them. You can just... Okay. Dope. That was efficient.
Ashley, are you alright?
Yeah, thanks.
In Diablo 3, having 4 abilities you could mix and match and swap out for your class, that felt really good. Do we all agree on that? Like, I know every build kind of came down to, like, your main damage spell, the mobility spell, and then 2, like, support slash niche slash buff spells. But I still felt like that was a lot of fun compared to, you know... In PoE, it just really feels like it's the one spell. Oh, man. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna die on a hill over it, okay? Buffs are not fun 99% of the time. The concept of buffing, before I do my big attack that does damage and provides the kinesthetic satisfaction of nailing an enemy, I will now apply like 2 or 3 things that just for 60 seconds up my numbers. I've always felt like they suck. They're not fun.
Okay, I'm going to bed now. Have a blast storming the castle.
Thank you. Have a good time at bed. Or sleeping or whatever. Thank you. It's tedious, and reapplying buffs or like doing an attack but realizing you don't have the buffs up. Do you feel the same about debuff classes? No, I think they feel different. Because when you are a buff class, your buffs, the way you are when you're buffed, feel like the baseline, and it's unsatisfying when you're not at that point. And keeping the buffs up is a 24/7 maintenance thing. Whereas debuffing an enemy feels like you're weakening them. It's an active thing that you do specifically to an enemy, which changes your relationship to the way you're casting the spells. Yeah, I don't use temporary stat boosting items either. Okay, let's not get fucking beamed this time. No beans, okay? Hey, hey. What about passive buffs that take up a portion of mana? I think that's fine. I think that works just fine. I think that's a good thing PoE does. Because at that point, it's like, it stays on you indefinitely. It's just the penalty is you have less maximum mana. Okay. Let's not... It should be about choices. Yeah, another point is that buffing basically never gives you a choice. the choice with buffing, the choice is, do you want to do more damage with your attack or not, you know? Whereas with debuffing, you know, there actually can be choices to make. Oh, fuck. Okay. Is that it? Oh, dude, is this it? This red line right here? One more try. No, I don't think that's it. Do you think that's weird that a lot of the fantasy genre games don't use the Bronze Age? It's mostly just vaguely medieval. Yeah. Wasn't there a CRPG recently? Not recently, but in the past couple of years that,
IHJO de la chingada.
True. Thank you. That was in the Bronze Age? Tyranny, that's it. Yeah. You're basically like a judge, jury, executioner kind of guy for an evil empire of Bronze Age Deuterinos. Man, it's like right back here. Candy for games? Yeah, the thing that really bothers me is that I adore CRPGs, but I hate when I have to control a party. And the problem is, basically every CRPG is party-based. So I just don't play a ton of a genre that I really love. Literally, it's like if it wasn't party-based, that'd be that. I would love it. It's okay, the Swan. I love you. Okay. There are some that let you solo. Yeah, but usually, like, the game's mechanics are built around you having a party, and soloing is at worst unplayable and at best uninteresting.
It's locked.
Thinking of you, Divinity Original Sin 2. I appreciate the option, but that game is made for parties. Just have friends? Well, it's in-game friends. You control all of them. I think I just have to run. Man, I really think that's the barrel, too. Gasly! The fuck out of the way! You should check out RuneQuest. Any relation to RuneScape?
Vaush, when are we getting the Iris study stream?
I probably should do it. It's on the list of things I need to do a research stream on. Not seeing what I need to shoot there. This should be the cannon. Opinion on Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a masterpiece. Aha! Wow, that's a big cannon. Like an unrealistically big cannon, basically. It was like a giant naval cannon. I don't think they would have used this for land stuff. Could be wrong, though. Actually, they did? Well, that's cool. Hollow Knight is literally too good. Yeah, it's offensively good. I feel like I'm in a dangerous spot right now. Yeah? There we go. Nice. Ever play the Jack games? No. RuneQuest came out in the 70s. Wait, what kind of game is it? Video games weren't a thing in the 70s. Not really, you know. I know there are pedants in chat who'll be like, well, actually, shut up.
To celebrate the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, will you play Five Nights at Freddy's
Tabletop?
on stream?
Oh. No, I'm too much of a pussy. I get scared. I do. I get scared. Hello? Have these been marked? No, that's the first one. Okay. Even the first game? I've probably, like, experienced the first game through osmosis enough times at this point that I wouldn't be that frightened playing it, but I get jump scared very easily. I'm a very easy to startle person. I still maintain, by the way, that the first Five Nights at Freddy's game was good. Like, not only was it good, it was actually, like, artistically significant. Oh, well, we got these guys all over the place. Go into that? Well, it's an indie game that had, like, a minimalist aesthetic and a minimalist game presentation, mechanic-wise. No spoilers, be astounded. And I think that it... so I think that Yahtzee said... Yahtzee, like Croshaw, said that it was incredibly successful at recreating, like, dream logic horror, where you just sit there paralyzed with fear, unable to do anything except try to ward off, like, some unknowable horror that is just, like, right around the corner. I think it succeeds so well in what it tries to do in that respect. And also, to be fair, like, Five Nights at Freddy's was so significant that it basically kicked off the modern popularity of mascot horror, which, let's be fair, is cancer. But is obviously popular for a reason. The dissonance between, like, the playfulness of animatronics with the horror. You know, it's not like he was the first one to notice that mascot costumes are creepy, but I think he capitalized on that in a really...
Play it. Make it a drunk stream. You'll make millions.
That's really up to you guys. How FNAF's gameplay mechanics fed into the horror was pretty genius, too. I agree. I agree. Okay, well, now we definitely need to get all 6 of the medallions, so let's do a full loop and make sure we get all of them. No fussing about. What is this? Oh, this is what I need to raise the cannon. No, I don't want to be told where the blue medallions are, guys. Please do not tell me. I don't enjoy... Why would you think I want... Like, 4 of you did it in a row. Thank you, Ethan Moore. It's on the map, though? Then let me find it on the map. Also, no, it's not. You looked at it? Okay, then if I noticed it, I would have shot it. Oh, wait. Ah, fuck. I thought I was holding my bolt thing. Okay. Why'd you waste a sniper shot? I thought I had the bolt shooter out. Okay. We're looking for one more. Did you dislike buffs when you played WoW as well? Well, usually buffs in WoW last for an hour, which is long enough that I don't feel any, like, irritation in upkeeping or managing it. Most classes have 1 or 2 buffs to maintain. I played Resto Shaman. There are some classes that are more reliant on buffs than others, though. Like, Warlocks do a lot of buffing and debuffing. Priests do. I like the Shaman a lot, because they don't. The only debuff that you have to deal with as Ellie Shaman is your Fire Shock tick, mostly. I mean... Oh, shit, I'm holding the wrong gun. Alright. And, well, when you're doing Resto Shaman stuff, literally every heal puts on a buff, but that doesn't... Can we not?
You okay?
Dude, letting them grab Ashley and then stabbing them in the back of the neck is unironically a really good... Did you go cow or did you play later? I've played it on and off since vanilla, but I did most of my mythic raiding in Legion. Tried to get into some stuff in the Shadowlands, but it wasn't for me. Man, I miss WoW, though. I really do. I wish I could just go... Oh, man. Oh, fuck. I shouldn't. Embarrassing? Dude, I maintain that despite all of the bullshit, with the specific kinds of content that I enjoy, which is mythic dungeons and high-level raiding, World of Warcraft is not just a good game, it is an exceptional and unpeered game. I genuinely think that, like, in the specific slivers of the massive blob of gaming that is World of Warcraft, that I specifically go for, like, that's...
I see Vaush, but where are Harris and Zach? Is this not an episode of Cold Cuts?
Hey, we'll get another one out there soon, okay? Here, we still have to find one more of the... Ooh. I also really enjoyed Guild Wars. Buddy. Oh, does he know? He doesn't know. Let's let him know.
Firing again.
He still doesn't know. Did they really need to add the glowing dot?
All right. That went well.
A little warning next time.
She didn't know. Anyway, World of Warcraft Mythic Dungeons and World of Warcraft raiding, I actually would consider like a... Obviously, it varies expansion by expansion, but potentially in the format of a multiplayer online game, I would consider it to be, like, an exceptional game. Now, the broader World of Warcraft experience as a whole, with all of its time gating and its loot box bullshit and its random, all the gear grinding and all that fuck, I think that shit is garbage. And that is most of the game. But once you get all of that down pat, once you're playing it properly, sitting down and doing some real, like, mythic dungeons, being on your fucking level, doing some plus 23 shit or whatever, that feels really good. What were your thoughts on Final Fantasy XIV raiding? I only did a little bit of it, and I just wasn't that taken by it. I know that at the higher ends it got quite difficult and mechanically involved, but it just never felt a way that made me that happy. I tried Guild Wars 2 as well, and it was fine, I think. Guild Wars 2 is pretty good. Yeah, it is. Also, you can be a tall woman. That's nice. But I still think that World of Warcraft is unmatched in this respect. Yes, I did, Koshigal. I did watch that video, and I thought it was incredible. Every Folding Ideas video for me is like a movie dropping right on my computer. I'm so happy when I see them. Okay, we're looking for one last blue medallion. Chat, please don't spoil, but it might take me a bit. What are you hoping to see in Shadow of the Erdtree? I don't know. I don't know. From Software is so good at what they do. I'm just looking forward to being surprised. Did you watch that Mooncat video? Yes, I did. I found the humor a bit insufferable, but the video's contents were excellent. Maybe it would be better to... Oh, there's a bolt back here? Maybe it would be better to go back and get the request from the merchant so I can find it. I don't even know if it's in this area. It's possible they're pulling a troll and there's a final medallion elsewhere. Probably not, but I don't want to waste a bunch of time. Let me go get that bolt, though. Final Fantasy XIV's got worse as time went on. You guys, I really wish I could okay, you guys know how satisfying winning a Dark Souls boss fight is because you take so much damage when you get hit. Like, it's so punishing that, therefore, the satisfaction of prevailing is that much greater. Like, that's one of the things that sells the series, you know? The fact that you die so quickly means that you're on your beat the whole fight. It requires a lot more investment. Doing World of Warcraft raiding, especially at a high level, is like that times 20, with everyone's hopes riding on you, especially as a healer. Oh my god. Healing Mythic raiding with like 19 other people or whatever, who like, and for like multiple beats, like constantly, like 10-minute fights, you know, like second by second, you have to be on your game to a level that exceeds, in my opinion, any level of mechanical complexity in a Dark Souls or Elden Ring fight. And if you fuck up once, everyone knows and a bunch of people die. The adrenaline, man. Here, I'm gonna go back and get the request. So good. Take care, XLR. XLR. I saw Koshigal. I see all of Dan's videos the moment I get the chance. Can I even go all the way back here? Yeah, Juggernauts, for sure. New season of raiding. Killing Kel'Thuzad in the original. Guys, I was the main healer and the raid lead for a my guild when we were doing heroic heroic fuck. What's the general of the Burning Legion? Not Archimon, the other one. It's like an acronym. No, not Sargeras. Not him. The Kill Jaden, thank you. Yeah. Doing Kill Jaden at the end of the Tomb of Sargeras. Man, I was doing some mythic raids at that point. I was better than most of the people in my guild. Resto Shaman is a main healer. You don't even have a good res. I was that good. I was able to raid lead without dungeon boss mods. Because I just knew everything. I could call it out. And my raid was having trouble with Kel'Thuzad. And they couldn't beat him on Heroic. Which, to be fair, at that point, he was pretty tough to beat. Heroic Kel'Thuzad, early on in that raid cycle, wasn't a super easy fight, you know? But the raid that I played with, mainly, like, wasn't able to beat it. But I had to stop playing WoW because of you guys. It was around the time when streaming was becoming like a career for me, and I wouldn't be able to keep playing World of Warcraft and competitively raiding and stuff. So I had to go. But I made a promise to my guild lead. I'm not leaving until I get you guys through the end of Tomb of Sargeras. And we did it, week after week, and finally, we took down fucking Kill Jaden. We took him down. And that was the last thing I did with that guild. And I signed off, and I haven't played with them since. Because it's really difficult to do World of Warcraft when you have this job. Because then you stop doing this job. Leaving on a high note. Hey, I still talk to my raid lead from time to time. Not often, but we have each other's, you know, info. It was leaving on a high note. I felt really good about that. For those of you who, chat, if you agree, you agree. The bonds that you form with a raid, a group, with a guild you care about, that's really good, right? You play a lot with these people. You hang out with them. They become like an online community. There's a lot there, you know? I was really proud of those guys. They put in a lot of work. And they were able to beat... It's a very glistening tree. They were able to beat Kill Jaden. I keep wanting to say Kel'Thuzad.
Why not treat yourself, mate? Welcome.
Okay.
What can I interest
Wait, do you not have the blue... Is it like hanging here? So you don't even have it. Oh, okay. Sorry for running back here. We'll come back and we'll get it. Yeah. Wish I had that. My friends were RuneScape players because it was free then and we didn't have money. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Leon. Use your broken butterfly more? Not against regular enemies.
If you aren't able to solo 40-man raid bosses, you aren't good enough at WoW yet.
Well, yeah, I have. I was able to solo 40-man raid bosses. All I had to do was enter Molten Core as a level 110 Ellie Shaman. It was easy. They all had 6,000 health. My weakest attack did like 212,000 damage. But I don't have it in me to play games like that anymore. Forever games, you know? Oh, you could have seen the cannon from down here. That's so cool. I want to play games that give me the feeling that World of Warcraft raiding did without needing to invest, like, yeah, 20 hours a week into it. And the Dark Souls games do that for me. That's one of the reasons I'm so much of a fan of them, you know? They give me that feeling. Holy shit. Is this the fucking undead prison in Dark Souls 1? Does no one else feel from right here?
Solo 40-man raids in the expansion you are playing in, not old raids.
Wow, moving the goalposts? Right now, does it not feel like... does it not feel like the Asylum Demon? The Undead Asylum. Yeah, the Asylum Demon's about to butt slam us. Dude, literally, you walk in from, like bonfire. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, like that. Is there a door to a side to escape the demon? No, sorry. Noise gate? That noise gate was put there for your protection, and it did its job. Thank you, iDementia. That's true, Velbot. Why are the chandeliers moving? Well done, Sir Political Banana. I can't do that reliably yet. You just passed the request? Son of a bitch. Well.
Vaush looking in telescope at original goalpost. Moving goalposts, are we?
Yeah, you are! So what if it's Molten Core? What do you want from me? Oh, yeah, we have to go... Okay, yeah, we have to go, like, down and around here. Okay, yeah. I'm glad we got the pamphlet, otherwise this would have been a bitch and a half to find. Ashley, keep up! Huff, huff, huff. Are there multiple merchants, or is it just one? It's just one. I mean, they don't really answer the question, but that's what I think. Why did the devs make Ashley pant like that when she's running? You know why. Because girls panting is cute. Ah, there we go. Yeah, I don't think I would have found this, on my own. She's an average-shaped 20-year-old who runs for like 12 hours straight in this game. You'd be on the ground crying, chat. That's true. She's trying to keep up with athlete extraordinaire Leon Kennedy over here. Dude, she's so fucking cute. Oh my god. Insane. Look at the way she runs! Look, she literally like... Leon! How'd Leon go from a police officer to a special agent? After the events of Resident Evil 2 in Raccoon City, I guess because he was a survivor, they were like, oh man, you're like a super cop. We'll make you a super dude. Oh, didn't even notice you before.
Look at this place. I mean, it's old, but
Yeah? Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's larger than any castle in real life. You know, real castles are actually quite cramped inside. I think the most realistic castles that I've seen in a fantasy game, unironically, are from Skyrim. The interior of the castles in Skyrims are usually pretty, like, claustrophobic. Even the room with the throne, usually kind of just like a rectangle, you know? Aren't castles huge, though? In real life, they tend not to be. But even the huge ones don't have huge rooms because that's
Hey,
easier to
Vaush,
break.
just about to finish the second year of my sociology degree. Thank you for inspiring me to go down this road. I've loved every minute of it, Peepo hug.
I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you. And I'm very happy to hear things are going well. Keep it up. Most castles are pretty utilitarian. They're basically just like some wooden palisades and then like a keep, you know, not that large of stone.
I see you
Garlic
took care
cheat.
of a request.
Peel garlic, put in pot, cover with oil, simmer over medium heat 7 to 10 minutes. Drain oil into mason jar 5 minutes. Roasted roasted garlic oil.
That sounds delicious, Sake. You're making me hungry. Oh, yeah. When I went to Japan, I went to the East Imperial Garden, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's really, really, really pretty. All around the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, and...
Conservatives are scared of Gen Z, so they now want to draft them. Why don't they admit they want re-education camps?
Well, because that wouldn't be very optically effective, I gotta say. The East Imperial Gardens have insane walls. Look at this. These have stood since like the Edo period of Japan or something. These are like 5 or 6 feet thick. Like they're actually ultra walls. Because if you look at the history of Japan or watch the one video from that one guy who did the history of Japan, the entire history of Japan is basically it being broken up into like 78 shogunates, all of whom believe they should be emperor, and they're all willing to commit their entire population to die if it means they get to be emperor. And that's been the history for a while. So an emperor getting around to actually building themselves some very large castle walls makes sense. The gardens are surrounded by them, so the emperor could go out to the gardens without worrying about like being attacked or whatever. Weird, right? I mean, it's not weird. I guess it makes sense, but these stones are very big. Like, they're 6 feet or so deep. Like, this is like a 5 foot tall this is like Stonehenge. This is just a stack of Stonehenge up. Megalithic. Yeah, it's so huge. Incidentally, the East Imperial Palace Gardens are some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Oh my god. You know, it's not all of Japan. Japan does have parts that kind of suck, like every part of the world, but holy shit, they do not include the East Imperial Gardens.
MYAAA. Maya if cool.
Aw, thank you. Meow. You got me.
Just remember, in 1868, Japan was still running around swinging swords. By 1900 they were equivalent to most Western countries in technology.
Yeah, they bought a lot of guns. They sold us a lot of woodblock paintings of women getting their ass eat, and we gave them a lot of guns. God damn. I always thought it was cool that one of my favorite things of Demon Slayer is that it takes place in the time where most of Japan was feudal, but then you'd go into a city and there'd be a train, you know? That's really cool. That's a really cool period of history. Where like the countryside is dudes in robes with katanas fighting over rice fields, and then you go into the city and there's electric lighting. That's a really cool time period. You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see that, but for Russia. Pathologic hits on it kinda, but there would have been a period of time where the Russian peasantry and the Russian proletariat, you know, like around the time the Tsar was killed and the revolution and the Soviet Union, there would have been this interstice of like ultra rural peasantry suddenly getting like, you know, stalker. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna look up a castle. Okay, normally when people think of castles, they think of shit like this, okay? But these are like kind of castles. These are mostly just really fancy estate homes, mansions for like European nobility. And they're not that old, you know? Like they're old, but they're not that old. They're beautiful, but like when you think of castle, like, okay, you know, what were they really like actually? Because castles back in the day weren't like rare fairy tale things. They were normal, regular military fortification. Like they weren't like mystical, cool, wild things. They were like regular parts of how your world was built. And this is... oh.
I thought every day in Russia was just running around trying not to get killed by rats and children while trying to fix plagues.
That's what I understand too from my experience. Here, this is an example. This would be what most castles would actually look like, kind of. Basically, you have a wall, palisades or stone, depending on how much money you have and labor and slaves or whatever. You build them around, then you level out the ground inside, and you have like a miniature village. You know, you have your blacksmith, your stables, blah-de-blah, and then you have a couple of like defended forts out. And the only enclosed area, the part where you'd have like your throne for your nobility or whatever, would be a separate, even more fortified section that would be like basically like a medium to large house, you know? Does that make sense? That this would be like a more typical castle. In fact, I think this is ritzier than most castles. I think even this represents a lot more wealth preparation, planning, and blah-de-blah. Here we go. You can kind of see an example here. This is the Dover Castle. See? So it's also made of stone, again, which this is a very large castle. But like the actual interior building part, which is just this, isn't that big. Oh, here it is. Here it is from an above angle. Look at that. Yeah, you have the outer wall, then the yeah. Here. Average castle palisades. Palisades should be like a castle that's a bit less wealthy because it's palisades and not stone walls. But that's pretty common though. Okay. Here's a kind of accurate Minecraft example, okay? Where you have the wooden palisades that stretch around your territory, and then you have the internal buildings and the gatehouse and stuff, and then you have the one stone keep, you know? Does that make sense? I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm not even looking at chat. I'm just kind of happy to be talking about this right now. Oh, in case you ever wondered where the term motte and bailey came from, it's from this. The bailey refers to the portion inside the palisades that's not fully defended. It's like the outer, weaker position. Whereas the motte is like the hill upon which the keep, or tower, or dungeon, was built. See? So, like, a motte and bailey fallacy is when you initially present a bailey argument, which is weak and easy to attack, but when it's attacked, you retreat to the motte argument. You see? So it's like, so your bailey argument would be like, you know, I think we need to increase our cop spending by 200%. And then that gets attacked because it's retarded. And then you fall back, you're like, okay, well, I think cops are useful sometimes. Wouldn't you agree? And like, that's the motte argument because like, yes, obviously cops are useful sometimes. And yeah, okay, that's where it comes from. Vaush nerding out is kinda not gonna lie. Kinda what? Okay. Versailles Castle in Paris is unreal in comparison. Okay, yeah, but keep in mind, again, Versailles is a palace, not a castle. Like, Versailles wasn't built to effectively withstand, like, cannonball shots.
I enjoy the Professor Vaush segments.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, Versailles is indeed insane. Versailles is, like, the most insane shit. It's kind of wild. I don't know what the average thickness of a stone fortress would have been. Like, one that was built for military purposes, you know. But that was why, like, the reason they're built this way is because this is where lords would preside, not like that, like this. This is where lords and noblemen would preside over their territory in medieval days. Like, a castle would be built, and it would be given to a lord, and they would use that as a seat of power from which to extol taxes from the peasantry under their jurisdiction, the villages under their control. And the reason these were built as military fortifications is because, A, motherfuckers are constantly fighting to change hands, you know, like, change the borders of their country or whatever, even though borders aren't really a thing back then. And B, they were afraid of the peasantry. A big part of the way castles were designed actually wasn't for medieval warfare, but rather surviving sieges from peasantry. Yeah. Oh, and castles worked, by the way. They were so good at what they did that historically many of the larger castles were only broken under siege. Yeah, when I'm saying siege to mean attacking a castle, but that's not actually proper. When a castle is under siege, what it really means is they blockade it. They keep food from getting in. Now, you can't keep farms within a castle, which means they would often have contained racks of cow or chicken so they could be slaughtered for meat in times of siege. But some sieges lasted a really, really long time. Castles that could survive long sieges were usually ones that had access to river water, so they could get constant fresh water. If they didn't have that, then they couldn't last very long at all. It can't hold water for that long. I mean, you can have a well, but if a whole castle population is drawing on one well, unless it's really deep, it's not likely to last long. Here, how long did sieges last? If you can imagine, yeah, medieval sieges usually lasted for months. The first siege of Ceuta in 1720 lasted 26 years. Oh, no, sorry. It began in 1694. Lasted 26 years. A lot of you in chat could have been born in the castle of Ceuta and are today younger than you would have been if you had been alive to see the siege break. Oh, sorry, that was a siege of a city, not of a castle. The longest siege of a castle. Obviously, a city can replenish its resources more readily. The siege of Kenilworth Castle in England lasted 172 days, or about half of a year. Woo! The siege of Girdke. The siege of Gibraltar. Oh, I've heard that place in Overwatch. The siege of Girdke lasted 17 years and 7 months. It was sieged by the Mongols. Yep, that's a castle. 17 years! Girdke was a fortified mountain. Holy shit! Guys! Oh my god! They just... Look, you can see the castle up on top. The remnants of it. You see? Do you see that right up there? No wonder they sieged it for so fucking long. How do you get up here? You're literally a fucking dwarf hold, yeah. God almighty. Oh, the Mongols eventually won, but it took them 17 years, so... You know, you got to have a life of some length in the castle. Excuse me. Look up how Attila the Hun sieged some cities/castles. The mad lad started biological warfare by catapulting his own dead soldiers who had died by plague over the walls. That's mean. That's not good of them. How did the soldiers not revolt after so long? Well, oftentimes, like, they would just be killed.
Well done.
Anyway, so...
You've proven yourself reliable. Ooh, what are you buying?
Oh, that was good. Kind of, look at the way he talking. Ooh, what are you buying?
Molding a weapon to suit your specific needs. Come back anytime.
Didn't they think kings were appointed by God? Divine right is not entirely present throughout medieval history. Also, oftentimes they were fighting to defend lords, not kings. It's sort of an easy job to do a siege, right? If you're the sieging ones, I imagine it's easier than, like, direct combat. If you're the ones being sieged, it's probably hell. Thank you for the recommendation, Sir Political Banana. Vaush, nope, sieges were almost impossible to maintain because of revolts or diseases breaking out among the siegers because armies would produce so much waste they would fuck the land for years. Wow, that's fucking metal. Jesus. I guess, yeah, the logistics of trying to keep, like, 10,000 soldiers outside of an army, or outside of a castle, and they're just shitting in the river where you drink from. Yeesh. Oh, yeah, and you couldn't forage food. The supply lines. Oh, man. Yeah, that sucks. Well, game's done. For which I mean stream's done. We took too long.